of Fox Sports.
We are the Fox. We are the West.
Playing host to many of the greatest players in the game.
And it is gone. A home run for Ted Williams in his last time at bat in the major league.
Base hit, number 3,000. Yastrzemski's got it.
I've never seen anything like this at the end of a career.
For years and years to come, he'll always be remembered.
With a playing field that has seen more history than any other park.
The Red Sox are world champions.
And features constructed in another era. It stands in one of America's most historic cities. A baseball icon, Fenway Park.
One of the greatest ballparks in America here in Boston, Massachusetts. Fenway Park, home to the Boston Red Sox and now the visiting Texas Rangers as we get ready to begin a 3-game series here at Fenway. Welcome into the booth, everybody. I am CJ Nikowski along with Tom Grieve. Tom, we always love coming here. Great ballpark, lots of fun, but we really like it when the Rangers are playing well. And a guy that has had a tremendous season so far, a little bit of history for him yesterday has been Shin-Soo Choo. What a year for him.
Really has been, CJ. It's been fun to watch his 47-game streak. And when you're in that kind of an on-base streak, obviously your numbers are going to look pretty good. And he's been moving up the AL rankings in a lot of categories. 56 walks, he's third on base percentage, OPS, hits, all in the top 10 or right near it. And to make it even better, he made the All-Star team for the first time. Huge day for him. He extended his streak yesterday in Detroit in this way. Fifth at bat, last chance, hit one right off the end of the bat. Fortunately, the third baseman was playing back. Shin-Soo has been nursing a sore quad, so he's not running 100%. He had to place that little ground ball perfectly to be able to go three-quarter speed and beat it out.
Yeah, what a day it really was for Choo. Not only did he extend that streak and set the record, of course, he found out he was going to be an All-Star for the first time in his career. And for here, the Boston Red Sox, unbelievable what they have done this season. 5 All-Stars, 2 of them are having tremendous years offensively. That's Mookie Betts and J.D. Martinez.
Yeah, these guys, you can't say enough about the job that these two guys have done. They're not only high in the AL rankings, they're high in Major League Baseball rankings. Mookie Betts made an All-Star team for the third time. He's only 25 years old. J.D. Martinez for the second time. He's been exactly what the Red Sox were looking for when they signed him. Mookie Betts leads the major leagues in batting average and OPS. J.D. Martinez leads the major leagues with 27 home runs and 74 knocked in.
It's a pretty incredible offense, and it's not just those two. There are many more in this Red Sox lineup. We'll talk about it throughout the game this evening, and that means Mike Minor is going to have his hands full a little bit, but he has been very, very good as of late. When we get back, we're going to take Mike Minor and put him in our spotlight and break down some of the great work that he has been doing lately. Rangers Well, we're getting a little bit closer to first pitch here at Fenway Park as you see the fans filing in. A beautiful evening here in Boston, Massachusetts. We mentioned Mike Minor and wanting to dig in a little bit. He has been very good as of late, Tom, and that's why we're putting Mike Minor in our Shiner Box spotlight.
And he deserves to be in the spotlight. If you look at what Mike's done in his last 5 starts, he's thrown the ball extremely well, 2-0 with a 2.53 ERA. Opponents are hitting below 200 against him. Really been spotting his fastball well. Outside on the corner to right-hand hitters, using his slider very effectively. Go back to May 3rd in our ballpark. He beat the Red Sox 6 innings, 7 hits, and 3 runs. So he's got to win against the Red Sox. He's throwing the ball great. Hopefully it plays here in Fenway Park tonight.
He certainly will have a challenge in this ballpark against this lineup. There's a couple of guys on this Rangers roster who have never been to Fenway Park. John Radigan is going to talk to some of the young players here with the Rangers on their first experience here in Boston. Southwest Airlines, low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. And by Buick. Visit your local Buick dealer today.
We welcome you back to historic Fenway Park. The history of this ballpark, the history of this city, not lost on the players who play for the Texas Rangers, and they are all excited to be here. If you poll the players, which we usually do during spring training, the vast majority of them will tell you this is their favorite place to come. History is one of the reasons for that. You take a look at the Rangers starting lineup tonight, and you see, including tonight, this is the number of times guys have played here in the past, and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is playing here for the first time tonight. He says he was so nervous about playing here, he went out 3 hours before batting practice and did a few wind sprints just to kind of minimize the nervousness. He says the history of baseball is very important to him. It is not lost on him, and he felt it as he walked in this park. I saw him walking in before he did the wind sprints, and he just looked at me and said, goosebumps. That's how he was feeling as he walked in. I'm sure the nervousness is still there a little bit, but he'll manage it and have a great day at third base, guys.
That is fantastic, and it really is amazing with him because he talks about being nervous in different situations, and you would never, ever guess it by the look on his face. He always looks calm, cool, and collected. Well, let's get to our Southwest Airlines lineup here this evening in Boston. You see that man right there, Delano DeShields. He'll be leading things off for the Rangers tonight. Elvis Andrus batting second, Nomar Mazara, Adrian Beltre in the 4 spot, Rougned Odor, Jurickson Profar, and there he is, Isaiah Cunner for left. He'll be at third base tonight. Robinson Chirinos behind the plate, and Ryan Rua getting a start in the outfield. He'll be batting ninth.
And Eduardo Rodriguez, the lefty, will take the mound for the Red Sox. Take a look at his arsenal. A lot of four-seam fastballs 40% of the time. Cut fastball, a lot of changeups, also a sinking fastball and a slider. So all the traditional pitches, pretty good mix. And he's off to a nice start this year, 10-3. Red Sox defense is sponsored by Jack in the Box. Andrew Benintendi will be in left. All-star Mookie Betts in center. All-star J.D. Martinez will get the start in right field. In the infield, Rafael Devers is at third. Mitch Moreland is at first base. Up the middle, Xander Bogaerts and Eduardo Nunez. And behind the plate, Sandy Leon.
Could get a little tired talking about how many All-Stars they have here in Boston. And 5 of them, when it's all said and done, you see first-year manager Alex Cora has done an excellent job leading this ball club. They have 62 wins. That's the most in baseball, just to 29 losses. And they currently come into tonight leading the New York Yankees by 2 games in that American League East. It appears that we are about ready to go. Delano DeShields steps in. Eduardo Rodriguez ready to deliver his first pitch. It's a fastball at 92 miles an hour. Called a strike at the top of the zone to Delano. Delano's got some pretty good splits. You start to look at what he has done. This is the overall season, 222 batting average with a couple of home runs, and 7 for 16 this year so far against the Boston Red Sox. We had a nice series against the Red Sox when they visited Arlington. Delano this year, you see the overall batting average, and maybe a little bit discouraged, but against lefties this season, he's hitting .297, so a good opportunity here and a good matchup. At least it should be a good matchup for Delano.
And it's all headed in the right direction too. Last month or so, his on base percentage is really solid. Getting on base, walking a little bit more. So he had a little bit of a lull for a while, but he's headed in the right direction right now.
95-mile-an-hour fastball that Delano takes for strike 2. There are those splits. You see better than a 100-point difference on the batting average. We know Delano's not a power guy. Don't worry about the home runs nearly as much, but he's done an excellent job against lefties this year. 2-2 is taken up out of the strike zone. Count now 3-2. So good job by Delano to get things started here and working Eduardo Rodriguez to at least 6 pitches in the first at bat of the game.
Yeah, one thing you notice right off the bat, at least I did, is how nice it is to have the camera right straight behind the pitcher and not off to the side. You can call the game just like an umpire from here.
That one is swung on a miss, and so Delano DeShields goes down on strikes.
That looks like a tailing fastball, well located right on the outside corner near the top of the strike zone. Rodriguez has struck out 100 batters in 93 innings, so he can strike you out.
They certainly can. Elvis Andrus now will step in here against Rodriguez. They're the overall season, just 30 games played for Elvis. Of course, he missed that time after getting hit by a pitch at right elbow that kept him out. So just 30 games as we get closer to the All-Star break, and Elvis swings and misses at a first pitch breaking ball. I'm glad you mentioned that about the camera. I'm a huge fan of that as well, directly behind home plate. I think that, first of all, it takes a little while. Some fans, when they first see it, a little, kind of thrown off by it, but I just think you get such a good view. My favorite part of that is the movement that you get to see. Sure. Anytime the camera's offset a little bit, you just don't get to see the true pitch movement, and you get a really good look at it. Now, you'll get a little deceived on up to down, as far as high to low on pitches. It might not be exact because the camera sits a little bit high in order to be directly behind the pitcher, but to me, that's a great trade-off. I do it every time.
No doubt, I would too. You really don't need the strike zone on the side because you can see it for yourself.
Here's a 2-1 to Elvis, and he swings and misses on a pitch that was in off the plate from Rodriguez. That's the cutter, 90 miles an hour, and that's what he'll use it and how he'll use it against those righties trying to get in. You see it there in a 2-1 count. A lot of times probably sitting on a fastball. A cutter's a great pitch for lefties when you are behind in the count. There's a ground ball hit to short. Bogaerts is there, throws over to first, and Mitch Moreland is there. Scoops that one out of the dirt, and so quick 2 outs here for the Rangers. Well, it's time for our Kubota Power Stats, and we're We're just talking about Rodriguez and how good he has been, Tom, and you mentioned the 100 strikeouts. That is now 3 100-plus strikeout seasons for the young lefty. He's done it by his age 25 season. Roger Clemens, the last Boston pitcher to have 3 100-plus strikeout seasons by the time they reached their age 25 season. So some pretty good company for Rodriguez.
Yeah, Rodriguez came up in the Oriole organization. He was one of their best prospects. And 4 years ago, the Red Sox traded Andrew Miller to Baltimore in return for Eduardo Rodriguez. I can remember people in baseball feeling like the Red Sox, if you had to trade a player of that caliber, got a great return on it. He was a highly touted prospect. And it's kind of taken him a while to get to this point. But at his age, he's made really nice progress. You look at their staff, he's not the guy you mentioned first, but he's 10-3 with an ERA under 4.
On his defense, David Price is probably not the first guy that you mentioned either, or is Rick Porcello,
well,
a couple of guys that have won Cy Young Awards.
He might be the first guy the fans mention here, and not always in a positive manner.
There's the pitch to Nomar Mazara. Fastball called strike. Count even 2-2. The rotation here in Boston is filled with names and guys that still have plenty left. There's Rick Porcello. Guys that are really in their primes. David Price has had some issues here, but I mean overall, you look at the depth of this rotation, it's pretty unbelievable. And this one is lined down the left field line. That's going to reach the seats, and count remains 2-2 to Nomar Mazara.
I like the story that was in the paper this morning. In Kansas City, Porcello was pitching, and Cora, the manager, went out to make a pitching change. And Porcello just screamed at him, "I've got this, I've got this." And Cora turned around, went back to the dugout, and he struck out a couple of guys, battled through 7 innings. He's a tough guy on the mound. Another big year.
And Mazara lays off that slider. Count now full to left-handed hitting Nomar Mazara against Eduardo Rodriguez, who has done a very nice job against lefties this year. .219 batting average against, and he's allowed just 3 home runs to left-handed hitters this season.
They've almost got 4 pitchers at the All-Star break with double-digit wins. Porcello and Rodriguez have them, and Sale and Price each have 9 wins.
And the 3-2, and Nomar Mazara looks at that one, and so it is ball 4. A 2-out walk for Nomar Mazara here against Eduardo Rodriguez. Well, I guess if you're going to have the highest payroll in all of baseball, and the Red Sox certainly have that at approximately $247 million, a pretty good margin. You would assume that there'd be some big names in that rotation, and there are, but Chris Sale is not a guy that is necessarily costing you a ton of money. He signed a relatively team-friendly deal with the Chicago White Sox, and then was traded over here to the Red Sox, a deal that involved Yoan Moncada.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams who have had the highest payroll that haven't also had the most wins in the major leagues. The Red Sox have a huge payroll, but they've also got the most wins in baseball. So I guess if they're getting what you pay for, let's put it that way.
Well, Adrian Beltre steps in, and he takes that one off to play. Count even 1-1. 295 overall for Adrian this season. Back in Boston, a place that he certainly is very familiar with. And that pitch misses down. And say, of course, Adrian familiar with Fenway Park. He was a member of the Boston Red Sox back in 2010. Had a really nice season here in Boston. Hit .321, finished 9th in the MVP. Was an All-Star that year, a Silver Slugger. 49 doubles, led all of baseball that year to go along with 28 home runs and 102 RBIs. 2-1. There's that cutter again. That's what he did that year in 2010. Pretty big season for the future Hall of Famer.
Yeah, it's also curious how you could put up those kind of numbers and not have the Red Sox want to extend your contract.
And of course, came to Texas the very next season in 2011. That was his age 32 season. But a good trend to watch it. We just saw now back-to-back right-handed hitters in 2-1 counts where they got cutters in off the plate. Both Elvis Andrus and now Adrian Beltre went chasing that hard cutter from Rodriguez. 2-2, and this one is hit to right field, but J.D. Martinez is there. He'll make the catch. And so well hit, but nothing to show for it for Adrian Beltre. We'll go to the bottom of the first when we get back here at Fenway. Sox lineup this evening for Alex Cora's squad. Mookie Betts, Andrew Benintendi, J.D. Martinez, you have Pierce, Bogarts, Mitch Moreland, Eduardo Nunez, Rafael Devers, and Sandy Leon. He'll get more of the catching duties now with Christian Vasquez going on the DL. He'll be batting ninth.
And for Mike Minor, the pitch arsenal. Four-seam fastball. He'll throw it almost half the time. He's had a really good slider. Mixes in a changeup and a curveball to go along with it. Last two starts, opponents have hit 0-95 against his fastball, especially to the right-hand hitters. He's just really been able to spot that on the outside corner, a little bit off the outside part of the plate. Right-hand hitters have had a terrible time with it.
That'll be an interesting matchup because you got Mookie Betts, a lot of good fastball hitters in this lineup. You see the season that he is having, pretty impressive. 324, 22 home runs, excuse me, 342. There's 22 home runs for a leadoff hitter. He has been slugging at the top of the lineup. The 2-0 misses and the count now 3-0, and you always worry about that. You got a left-hander in this ballpark, not necessarily an ideal ballpark for lefties with the short left field porch. You got a lot of right-handed hitters in the lineup tonight for the Red Sox, just 3 lefties. As Mike Minor throws one right down the middle at 93 miles an hour. And so the idea of wanting to live on the corners a little bit, Nick Speed, certainly something I got to believe that will be part of Mike Minor's game plan tonight. 3-1 is laced to left field, but an easy play for Ryan Rua, who was perfectly positioned.
The Rangers defense is delivered to you by DeMontron RV. Ryan Rua gets the start in left field against the lefty. Delino and Nomar in center and right field. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa gets the start at third. Jurickson Profar will play first. Up the middle, it's Elvis Anderson, Rougned Odor, and behind the plate, Robinson Chirinos.
Andrew Benintendi steps in. He looks at a first pitch fastball up above the zone at 94 miles an hour. I mentioned 3 lefties in the lineup. Benintendi obviously one of those. 293, 14 home runs. You see that there. He has been on fire. 6 hits in his last 7 at bats. He just had a streak on their previous road trip in which he reached base 10 straight times. And all the guys we talk about on this club, Mookie Betts, J.D. Martinez, the ones that are getting a lot of the attention. Andrew Benintendi is having a really, really nice year and really hitting in a perfect spot right in between those two.
Yeah, there's nothing that this guy can't do. He's 16 out of 17 in stolen bases. He can play center field. He walks a lot. He's got a good on-base percentage. He's got power. Anything you'd want a position player to do, he can do it. 20 home runs last year, knocked in 90 runs. Got a great chance to exceed those categories this year, as well as his batting average.
2-2 from Mike Minor to Benintendi. That one just misses off the plate. It's that slider from Mike Minor. It's been a very good pitch for him this year. 236 batting average against. He's recorded 19 strikeouts on that slider. The fastball is a called strike 3 right at the bottom of the zone. 95 miles an hour from the left-handed Mike Minor. Andrew Benintendi did not like that at all.
Well, there's not many hitters that are going to like this call right at the bottom of the zone, but there's not many pitchers who will say, I need that call if I'm going to come into Fenway Park and have success against the Red Sox. They made the pitch and got the call.
And a good job by Robinson Chirinos to scoop that from the bottom. Give the home plate umpire a really good look at that. That's Todd Tishner behind the plate tonight. So 2 out, nobody on for Mike Minor as he faces J.D. Martinez, another one of the All-Stars here with the Boston Red Sox, and he is having a monster season. This is a guy who was a big offseason acquisition for the Boston Red Sox. You see the numbers there: 329, 27 home runs. He had a couple of those against the Rangers earlier this year.
Well, the Red Sox felt like they needed a power hitter in the offseason. It wasn't hard to identify who the best available power hitter was. Took them a long time to get the deal done, though. Martinez was looking for a lot of money. The Red Sox were trying to minimize what they paid him, but finally it made a lot of sense. They got together, and he's been the center of their lineup, and it's just made everybody in the lineup better along with it.
Dave Dombrowski, the general manager here, the Boston Red Sox. He's put himself together a very, very good roster, and they have their eyes set on October as J.D. Martinez lines this one to center field. One hop in front of Delano DeShield, so it'll be a 2-out base hit for J.D. Martinez.
I think everybody in baseball figured that Martinez was going to sign with the Red Sox, and even though it lingered for a while, I don't think anybody changed their mind. So when he did sign finally with the Red Sox, no one was surprised.
You're right, though. It definitely took longer than expected, and I think the issue for J.D. Martinez and the problem that he ran into was there just was not enough teams that were, not that they weren't interested, but had the money or had the flexibility to pay him what he probably deserved, and so he really ended up kind of falling in the Red Sox lap. And you might say, well, 5 years and $110 million sounds like a lot of money, but I think he had his sights on, at least his agent did, possibly getting near that 200 mark.
Yeah, there probably was a team or two that said, you know, we could get in the sweepstakes here and make a bid, but it just makes so much sense for the Red Sox, who have so much money, that they're going to sign him, that why just bid the price up and come in second in the sweepstakes anyway. But he wasn't the first offensive player in the last couple of years to be surprised at the market.
You're right. Things certainly have changed. It's been a little bit tougher for hitters in the free agent market, as we've seen over the last couple of seasons.
Mike Moustakas had to go for a one-year contract back to Kansas City
after hitting 38 home runs, setting a franchise record.
Logan Morrison, what he had 40
another
home runs,
38. He also hit 38 as well.
38. He went for a one-year deal. He's at about 190 right now. Maybe teams knew what they were doing there. My favorite one, though, over the years has been Chris Carter. Chris Carter led the league in home runs and couldn't sign with anybody.
It's amazing. It really is.
It just goes to show, though, CJ, teams are put a lot more emphasis on your ability to play defense and do more than just powder the ball. Well, can you run the bases? Can you play a position? And can you play a position well? Is factoring into the equation a lot more for some of these power hitters who are either DHs or first basemen.
Well, Steve Pearce grounds one down the third baseline. That one is foul. Pearce was an acquisition from the Toronto Blue Jays, recently traded over here to Boston. A 35-year-old is serving in that platoon role a little bit, but has done a very nice job so far since he has become a member of the Boston Red Sox. He's 9 for 20 with 4 doubles.
Yeah, this is a perfect place for him to be. A contributor to a pennant-winning team, pennant-contending team. They haven't won it yet because he can hit. Got a little bit of versatility defensively, but he's pretty much here for his bat. Good right-handed bat to have. If everybody's healthy, maybe he doesn't get a lot of playing time. But when he does, he adds a little more than just a bench player to your lineup.
He's played a couple of games at first base where he has gotten starts with the Red Sox. He played some outfield, both right and left field for the Blue Jays, as this one is hit up and over the Green Monster. And Steve Pearce has his first home run as a member of the Boston Red Sox, number 5 overall for the right-handed power hitter.
That ball got out of here in a hurry. There was a kid sitting in the second row of the Green Monster that put his hand up to try to catch that. That thing went by him like he was not even there. That would have gone a long way if you could have seen where it would have landed. That's some solid contact. Green Monster is so high, it didn't clear it by much. But if it wasn't here, that ball would have gone a lot farther.
Almost makes you wonder if Statcast has a harder time at a place like this where you're trying to figure out exactly how far that ball would have gone. Four-seam fastball, a cutback over the middle of the plate. And so the Red Sox are on the board here early, and they jump out to a 2-0 lead against Mike Minor and the Rangers. Xander Bogaerts now in, and he swings and fouls one back, count even 1-1.
We highlighted J.D. Martinez and Mookie Betts, but there's a lot more than just those two in this lineup. Benintendi could be an all-star. Bogaerts, Mitch Moreland is an all-star. A lot of guys can hit in this lineup.
Well, they certainly can. Bogaerts retired on the soft line out to left, but Steve Pearce, that man right there, a 2-run home run to give the Red Sox an early lead. Over the Rangers, as we see a couple of Ranger fans joining us here in Boston. Well, fans, you can take home a little bit of snow on Friday, July 20th. That's going to be a game between the Rangers and the Indians. The first 15,000 fans will get themselves a celebration snow globe courtesy of Powerade and Kroger. Get your tickets at TexasRangers.com or call 972-RANGERS. Well, Ruben Odor leading things off here for Texas in the second inning. Talking about Delino DeShields and what a good job he has done against left-handed pitchers this year. Ruben Odor overall 236 with the 5 home runs, and he's done very well against the Red Sox. You see it there on the bottom over the course of his career with the 321 batting average. But also this season, a really nice sign for Ruby. He's hitting 273 against lefties. That's a nice improvement for him. A year in which you see the batting average down, to see him doing so well against lefties, I believe, pretty encouraging.
Definitely, for sure. He's also walking twice as much as he has in the past. It's not a huge number yet. It was so low to begin with. But the point is, the progress is being made. Work is being done. Effort is being made.
You mentioned it, Tom, and there it is right there. You look at kind of the track record for Rougned Odor and go back to 2016 and how he's been able to reverse that trend. It's good to see him hitting well against lefties. Good to see those walks per plate appearance, that ratio, get a lot better. Not an easy thing to do, I think, for Odor. The one thing, you might see that number, right, and say, okay, well, he must just be killing it then. If the walks are going up, you know, we see what's happened here and with the batting average and the home runs being down a little bit, but there's other facets of his game that have actually improved, and trying to make changes during the season has to be difficult. I mean, it just has to be frustrating, but he's been doing it. He's been showing some signs here, and things have been going well lately. He takes a called third strike, and Odor did not like that call at all from Todd Tischner. Let's get to our TXU power player to watch, and it's that man right there, Jurickson Profar. He's having a really nice season, but especially here over this 8-game hit streak. He's hitting .353. He's got 5 RBIs, but it's the doubles and the on-base, the OPS that has really stuck out here for Jurickson. Slugging a little bit, but squaring the ball up, it just seems like, Tom, he's making a lot of hard contact.
He is. A lot of his outs are hit hard as well. A lot of good at-bats. He's had a lot of at-bats where he's seen 8 or 9 pitches. He doesn't strike out a lot. He has a knack for making some kind of contact on pitches he's fooled on. In his last 42 games, he's hit 7 home runs and knocked in 31 runs. And when you look at rankings on the team, he ranks favorably in a lot of offensive categories. And I don't know that that's something you would have expected when the season started. And like Rougned, he hasn't made some kind of quantum leap all of a sudden. It's been steady. When he first got a chance to play shortstop every day, when Elvis was hurt, the success didn't come overnight. Another good pitch by Rodriguez. But this improvement and the success is happening on a steady, positive, in a steady, positive way for both Riggi and Profar. That's nice to see.
And both of them go back to the dugout after looking at a called strike 3, and neither one of them happy with the call. But Todd Tischner, and those are right on the edge, are pretty close. And I think based on the called strikeout that we saw of Andrew Benintendi from Mike Minor, which was a good pitch, but right on the corner, it's safe to say that this evening the corners will indeed be called.
Yep. Well, if they ever go to an electronic way of calling balls and strikes, the corners will be called.
Yeah.
You're going to see some upset hitters in my mind, don't you think?
Oh, without a doubt. The thing I get most nervous about, though, is guys that have big breaking balls, as we see Isaiah Kiner-Falefa fight that one off here, his first at bat at Fenway. But, you know, think about the really big breaking ball that maybe finishes right at the dirt. It probably crosses the bottom of the plate, a strike.
Yeah.
But we're used to that. Of course, it's a ball, right? Because we see it land near the bottom. I think that's one that fans and players would have a really, really hard time with.
Well, based on the definition of the strike zone, they're going to, if it ever comes to an electronic way of keeping balls and strikes, they're going to find out. Those pitches that are below the strike zone, where the ball just barely touches the bottom of the strike zone, those pitches look like they're in the dirt if a guy's way in the back of the box.
Rodriguez missed with the backdoor cutter. Now here is his 2-2, and that fastball misses upstairs. 95 miles an hour. Rodriguez has a very good arm, and we talked about the good season that he is enjoying so far here in 2018. He's already tied a career high in wins with 10. He's got a lot of swings and misses, and he's got 3 strikeouts so far this evening. Full count pitch misses off the plate, and so Isaiah Kiner-Falefa goes from 0-2 to a walk, and so a good at bat for the Rangers' third baseman tonight.
The Rangers have had a couple of walks in the ball game. Next pitch will be the 38th pitch for Rodriguez. So they continue to see a lot of pitches. They rank favorably in Major League Baseball, amount of pitches seen per at bat, which is a nice trend. Again, not something that happens overnight, but something they've worked on and are seeing some results from all the hard work.
think over the long term, especially when you see from your young players, right, that it's going to turn into more runs. You just mentioned this, and here it is with the Rangers, third right now in Major League Baseball pitches per plate appearance. And right there, I mean, the difference between 4.02 and 3.99, and the Yankees, of course, have that high-powered offense. That is encouraging, and I think those deeper at-bats are going to turn into more hits and more runs. Just a process that takes a little time, and sometimes as a fan, it can be frustrating watching the process, but as you just mentioned, that is a good thing we're seeing here with a lot of these young hitters.
Yeah, definitely.
Jeff Bannister looking on as Robinson Chirinos is dealing with a 1-1 count here against Rodriguez. Little flinch there from Tishner, but did not make that call. That one looked like it was below the zone.
Yeah, that one was lower than the one he called on Benintendi. So
a
consistent call.
I thought he was going to call it. Just a little. No, he yelled it out. Ball.
Yeah, I balled it.
2-1, and that one is on the corner. That's called strike 2, and you see Robinson Chirinos not happy with that call, so a couple of called strikes here. Rangers hitters certainly not too thrilled about.
Yeah, these are the kind of pitches that I'm talking about when you talk about an electronic way of keeping balls and strikes. That pitch was a strike, barely touching the outside corner, and the hitter definitely didn't think it was a strike.
Now the 2-2, and that one is off.
It'd be fun to watch a game done electronically, balls and strikes. Who does the hitter argue with after he doesn't like the call?
I mean, you can't argue with the umpire. Yeah, you can go by and maybe try to beat up on the machine a little bit. But
bring back the umpires, they're going to be screaming.
That's the part I would really miss, right? It's just some of those arguments that sometimes are nonsensical, but they're still fun to watch. They're entertaining. I would hate to lose that between instant replay and electronic strike zone.
Yeah, takes a
that wouldn't be very
great
fun.
part of the tradition of baseball away.
Chirinos now dealing with this full count. And the left-hander Eduardo Rodriguez. Pitch number 43. Here it comes, and here's a ground ball hit to the left side. Devers fields it cleanly. He'll throw over to first, and the Rangers are retired. So a 2-out walk turns into nothing for the Rangers. They also struck out a couple of times. We'll head to the bottom of the second when we get back. GMC. Visit your local GMC dealer. There's some fun seats here at Fenway all over the place, really. I don't know if there's a bad seat outside of getting in front of a pole, which you can do here. That's one of the downsides of the older ballparks. You can get the obstructed view, but those seats right there, high above the wall, and here at Fenway Park over the Green Monster.
Have you gone up there to see
I have
him?
not. Have you?
I went up there a couple of years ago, and they're way better than I expected them to be. Yeah, when you're up there, you look at them, they look somewhat far away. But I guess when you compare a comparable seat in a newer ballpark, they're farther back and higher up in a newer ballpark. But when you get up there, you feel like you're right on top of the action. They're great seats, I think.
I mean, you would feel like, I think I'm looking at that and thinking I could throw a peanut and hit Ryan Rua right now if I wanted to. Now,
well, you could.
You don't want to be able to stay in the game. You probably would be escorted out, and you'd be disappointed certainly in that result. But I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, just can't really do that anywhere else. There are no seats that can replicate that view. It was a terrific idea that they came up with. This one is fouled back.
I remember back in the late 80s, the Red Sox and maybe some other teams were having trouble with rowdy fans, and they employed a lot of Boston College football players, and they'd be roaming the stands with blazers and khaki pants, and they calmed a lot of those problems down among the fans.
And it's Moreland. It's a ground ball to the right side. Rugen Odor fields it cleanly, and Moreland will be retired. Love that idea.
You're talking about throwing peanuts at the players. Yeah. Back then, they probably were trying to do that, but when you saw a 240-pound middle linebacker dressed in a blazer come up, you probably thought twice about doing it.
So I thought, I had this idea a couple of years ago, and obviously it wasn't an original idea now that you're telling that story, but you run into those issues, especially in the postseason, where people get a little silly, maybe when too many pops, and they think, oh, maybe I'll go on the field or whatever, or yell at guys in the bullpen right here in Fenway. It's a little bit of an issue. The fans are right on top of you. And I always thought, why not recently retired NFL players that they could, a guy takes off and it's just open season, right? Where you could just say, good luck to you.
You're probably too young, but you must have seen a replay when Jack Curtis, the middle linebacker for the Colts, tackled the fan during a playoff game.
Okay, yep.
Guy came on, tried to take the football, and he got hit as hard as any back on the other team got hit that day.
Well, Nunez pops one up. Nice play by
That was
Rugen
like
Odor.
a standing ovation in every house that was watching that game.
And I just think that's, all that has to happen is just once, right? Just one time a fan's got to go out there, and a recently retired outside linebacker just lights that guy up, and I don't think anybody else will try to do it again.
Not if they knew that guy was waiting for him. I read in a soccer game, a soccer player let a fan have it when he came on the field, and the fan sued him. Boy, to me, once you come on the field, especially nowadays, with some of the things you read about that randomly happen in our society, if you're a ball player in any sport and a fan comes running out on the field towards you, you don't have the slightest idea what's in the back of his mind. And whatever you decide to do to that fan, he's got coming to him.
No doubt. You give up all your rights.
If I was ever the judge in that case, the lawyer wouldn't even be able to get a word out, and my word would be dismissed. Get out of my courtroom.
The 0-2 from Mike Minor to Devers is up, count 1 and 2, and so Mike Minor so far pretty efficient here in the bottom of the second inning.
The best one I've seen in person happened at Dodger Stadium about 10 years ago. A guy came out from right field with nothing on, and this guy was an athlete and he could run, and he got about to the warning track in left field. He'd gone a long way, and he got tackled naked now, face down on the warning track, and he got plastered right into the warning track.
My goodness, he might have been plastered.
Try that. That was so impressive.
Well, let's hope that we won't be exposed to any of that. Nobody wants to see that, that's for sure.
Yeah, it started with your peanut going at Ryan Rua. It kind of got a little bit out of hand. I apologize for that.
And I probably shouldn't have said that, because I'm giving people ideas that they don't need to have.
No, I think they know enough in this ballpark not to do that, or any ballpark for that.
And the 1-2 is swung on and missed, and so a very clean 1-2-3 inning for Mike Minor, including that strikeout.
Nice comeback in the second inning for Mike Minor. A 1-2-3 inning, and Rafael Devers wails at the slider for strike 3.
military by sharing a photo or video with hashtag #HatsOffForHeroes. For each post, T-Mobile will donate $1 to support veterans.
Welcome back to Fenway Park. Top of the third inning here with the Red Sox leading the Rangers by a score of 2-0. And there was a first pitch strike to Ryan Rua. Eduardo Rodriguez is now 9 for 9 in first pitch strikes. And so the Rangers probably taking note of that. May want to start swinging a little bit early as Rua fouls one down the right field line. I mean, you and I were talking about that just during the week off camera during the game. It's an interesting trend we're seeing with this club. I mean, guys like Chu, better than 500 batting average on first pitch. The Rangers as a team, they have the highest batting average on first pitches this year. 394 as Ryan Rua lifts one to left field, shallow left field. Benintendi's there to make the catch. So it's interesting to me in that regard. I mean, I was never a hitter. I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, you have to swing. Of course, I mean, obviously you know better than I do. But it's kind of an interesting trend. You got a guy who's just thrown 9 out of 9 first pitch strikes. You got a team that's hitting 394 on first pitch strikes. Does that mean you come back in one time through and say, hey guys, let's get aggressive? Or
I don't know exactly what to make out of it, except that you constantly hear pitching coaches and pitchers say the most important thing is to throw strike one. And so I guess as a hitter, with that being the philosophy of the pitcher, maybe you go up to the plate saying, okay, he's going to try to get ahead of me. And generally, when a pitcher tries to get ahead and throw a strike, he throws a fastball. So maybe you go up and look for a first pitch fastball. Comes to mind as something that might enter into that, but that would be the same for every player, not just the Rangers. I'm not exactly sure what enters into it as a Ranger.
You know, and I'm watching him too, and you know, Rodriguez is not a thumber. He's got a good arm. We've seen good velocity from him, mid to upper 90s. We've seen some 95s, some 96s from him, and it doesn't seem like very much a straight, which would probably discourage me from swinging early as well, as Delano DeShields fouls another one back, count now 1-2. But he knows how to strike guys out. We brought that up, right? The 100 strikeout season, 3 of those now for him. So you don't want to obviously get down in the count because he's been very good in those spots as well. And he's got a guy right now who's seems pretty locked in and doing it all, and a good strike zone getting called tonight as well.
Yeah, I think another thing that there's a tough at bat, makes solid contact. They're right at somebody. Another thing that might enter into it, if you take the first pitch, obviously that's a break-even point. It doesn't count as an out, doesn't count as a hit.
Yeah.
So maybe the Rangers are going up there aggressive, trying to hit the first pitch, but because they're seeing more pitches, they're not swinging at as many bad pitches. If they don't get their pitch on the first pitch, they're not swinging anyway at a pitch out of the strike zone, making bad contact and making it out. Maybe they're just being selective and aggressive at the same time. And, that might have something to do with it. Other than that, I'm not exactly sure. But doesn't the league in general have a high batting average against first pitch?
They do. I mean, the Rangers obviously have the best batting average of the group at 394, and there's some guys in particular in the lineup that have been really strong. But yeah, you know, it's interesting to see because right now we're in a phase where the batting average is so low in Major League Baseball, but it's 335 on first pitches.
Yeah.
Right. So
I would love to see the analytic response to that, because I'm not exactly sure what that means or how it's happening. So I'm all ears on that one.
1-2 to Delano DeShields, ground ball to the right side, fielded cleanly by Nunez over to first, and a 1-2-3 inning for Eduardo Rodriguez. Well, there's a guy up there that you may know. We certainly know him really well. It's John Radigan. He's got something for you when we get back.
Tap, and Tom, you were right about these green monster seats. The view from here is absolutely spectacular. I've got a great view of Ryan Rua, who I talked to before the game. He's only out here in left field for the second or third time in his career, and he says he knows what a challenge it is to play this left field. By far the toughest field to play in this ballpark. He says it's all about the carom, and he came out during batting practice to make sure he was playing the carom correctly. He said you've got to practice that. He talked to Don Wakamatsu about it, and he just wanted to make sure he was ready for anything out here, including this one that he didn't have much of a chance at, guys.
Well, did you bring any peanuts with you, John Radigan? We feel like you could hit Ryan Rua with a peanut from that. You're a little bit further down the line. We kind of thought maybe you could test our theory out and throw some peanuts at Ryan Rua. I'm sure that would go over really well.
Yeah, that might not play well. And you know, Bassick was talking in the pregame show about how pitchers and veterans like to come out and during batting practice, take balls and play the carom. Rua's like, we don't have time for that. Yeah. I've got to take them. I'm the one playing out here.
It's not the first time pitchers have been told to get lost during batting practice. No, definitely not.
How you getting along with the Red Sox fans out there, John?
I really find these fans to be wonderful. Every place I went, they're kind of engaging me. They realize I'm not a part of their broadcast because our mic flag is different than theirs. So they know where I'm from, and they're engaging me. They're friendly. Good baseball fans.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Because that facial expression on that guy more says, get out of my kid's seat. That's what I'm reading. I could be right. I'm not a body language expert. I could be wrong. So leadoff base hit here for Sandy Leon, and that means Mookie Betts will now come back up. He lined out to left field his first at bat, and now he drills one deep to left field, but that one is foul. Way foul. And way up there. Yes, the carom is so interesting. I think you spend a little bit of time out there, and I certainly did during batting practice just because it's fun. But one of the things that has to happen is the center fielder has to get involved, because you look at the wall and you think, okay, does the ball just bounce straight back to the left fielder? It doesn't. It actually is angled a little bit towards center field. And so it becomes really important that that center fielder gets involved, because the ball could actually end up bouncing more toward him, those ones that are kind of in the gap and maybe hit about halfway up or so, or near the middle.
The hardest part about playing the Green Monster is judging whether it's going to hit the wall and how high up on the wall it's going to hit. In other words, it's not that hard to play a fly ball off the wall if you back off the wall and play it on a hop. The problem is knowing if it's going to go that far, because once you go to the wall, Jerickson stays with that pop-up. Once you go to the wall to try to catch it, then if it hits over your glove and comes down and you're straight away or toward the line, it's going to bounce way away from you. So if you get to the wall and you can jump up and catch it, fine. Or if you wait on it to carom off the wall and it hits way up on the wall, fine. The embarrassing ones are the ones that you say, oh boy, that's way off the top of the wall. I'm going to back up and catch it. It comes down and hits on the warning track about three feet away from the wall. Those are the embarrassing ones.
Yeah, there's some inconsistency right to that wall as far as a couple of soft spots.
Yeah, some it makes a thud, and some it's like making solid contact with your bat. Some hit the barrel and some don't.
Well, we've certainly seen a lot of outfielders be challenged by the Green Monster here at Fenway Park. And the other part of that too, think about what shifts that you have to deal with. There are times where the shortstop actually gets involved with the ball that comes off the wall.
Yeah,
and
if it's a line drive right down the line, he's got to do what you said about the center fielder for sure.
And then, of course, with the shift, right, he could run into trouble if they're shifted the way. I mean, that could end up being the third baseman's responsibility if the shortstop is on the right side of second base, which is part of our new trend here in the game.
And the other place the shortstop has to go, if there's a ground ball hit right down the line, looks like it's going to be a double, and it hits the wall that juts out toward left field, the left fielder can't get to that ball in time to keep the guy from going to second. So the shortstop, if he sees that, has to go out in the middle of left field and get that ball too.
Certainly an interesting ballpark, and I love that about our game, that there's so many different ways you have to play certain ballparks because of the walls. And that's not even the only thing here in Fenway as far as the left side. You got center field, you got right field. Everything is a little bit unique compared to most ballparks as Andrew Benintendi takes a second strike from Mike Minor.
One thing I like in this ballpark that wasn't, I didn't make the trip last year. First time I think in 50 years I haven't been to Boston. But the fencing that they've got up, we talked about it in other ballparks, all the way around to protect the fans. They've put it up here all the way down to the left field foul line. That makes a huge difference.
The 2-2 is lined in the right field gap. Delano DeShields will cut it off. He's going to have to hurry to get it in. And he does, as Sandy Leon will have to stop at third. But it is a one-out double for Andrew Benintendi.
Yeah, that would have been interesting if it was someone other than Leon. Leon obviously is not a plus runner as a catcher. But if they had a pretty good runner, that would have been nice to see, because that was about as well as you could handle a relay throw. Delano did a 360 and hit the cutoff man, and Rugi's throw home is going to take a perfect one-hop strike to Robbins Chirinos. Watch it come into Chirinos right here. Well, if that was a good runner, that would have been fun to see, because I think that relay throw would have had him.
Great job by Delano DeShields to get that in. And a good thing that ball bounced softly, because if it got past Delano DeShields, that would have been probably an easy triple. It is so deep out there in right center field into that triangle. So a good defensive play, but things don't get any easier for Mike Minor as JD Martinez steps in and hits a high fly ball to shallow center field. Here comes Delano DeShields. He makes the catch. Leon fakes the tag. He'll hold, and a good job by the Rangers again defensively to get that ball in, and a very nice job by Mike Minor to retire JD Martinez. Let's throw to our studios back in Texas. What's going on, Rick Renner? It's time for a Chevy game break. Well, that is discouraging if you're a Baltimore Orioles fan. Not for us, though. We are headed to Baltimore after this 3-game series with the Boston Red Sox. It has been a long year for sure, and it's probably going to get worse if Manny Machado gets traded, which I think we all believe he will at some point. There is that American League East, and the Boston Red Sox and New York Yankees going back and forth, but the Red Sox right now with that 2.5-game lead. But there are the Baltimore Orioles, 36.5 games out of first place. They are, is that right? I double checked my math. They are 40 games under 500 right now.
Yeah, that's not a team that's tanking either. That's a team that was trying to win when the season started.
Interesting times in Baltimore, that is for sure. I don't know if we can really sell this enough as far as what a good job that was by Mike Minor to get JD Martinez out in that spot. And he's been great this year. He got the fly out. Runner was unable to advance. He was hitting .333 against lefties, .328 against righties. He's been great, but even better with runners in scoring position. Had he a couple there, and on a first pitch, Mike Minor got a weak pop up. .345 for JD Martinez with runners in scoring position. But Steve Pearce is the one that hit the home run, and so I mean, I guess that's just the tail of this lineup. And you could say the same thing about the Yankees and the Astros. It's deep, it's relentless, and there just are not very many breaks in it at all. There's a ground ball, and Elvis Andrus fields it cleanly, and so Mike Minor does an excellent job pitching around a couple of base hits and getting out of that jam with runners at second and third and just one out. We're at 2-0 here as we head to the 4th inning. Well, fans, on Wednesday, July 25th, the Rangers are going to be playing the Oakland Athletics, and that is our next Texas Chili Company $1 hot dog night. Make sure you get your tickets at texasrangers.com, or you can always call 972-RANGERS. Nomar Mazar now steps in here against Eduardo Rodriguez, who had just an 11-pitch inning in the 3rd. And the Rangers did a nice job of getting that pitch count up, but he bounced back very nicely in the 3rd. Actually, Mike Minor had an 11-pitch inning the inning before that, and then Rodriguez answered him. So Nomar Mazar did a nice job drawing that walk against Rodriguez. Another shot at him here in the 4th. Good game yesterday for Nomar Mazar. He matched his career high. He had 3 walks in that game. He did the same thing a year ago against the Tampa Bay Rays on July 23rd. The hits have been a little bit more sparse for him this year. 2 for 22 over his last 6 games. There's a 1-2, and that one just misses downstairs. Rodriguez wanted it. We've seen some low pitches called, but ones that have been in the zone. That one was not. So the count 2-2 now to Nomar Mazar. There's Todd Kushner. And 2-2 is swung on. Kind of a check swing there from Nomar, but this one will slice into the stands. There is almost no room down that left field line. Certainly we talk about the wall and the Green Monster, how difficult it is to play that, but that Tom right there, it's about as narrow as it gets between a wall and a tough wall and the foul line.
It's very difficult to catch a foul ball down that line if one happens to come right there.
That's a metal door right there. Yeah. I mean, this, you get the padding.
Not easy to run.
You have a metal
that.
Door.
Generally, you don't play that way. You play towards center field.
Now, Nomar Mazar is called out on strikes. He did not like it, and it seems like he wants to have a little bit of a conversation with Todd Fisher about it. Well, let's get to our showstopper, and quite a game between the Arizona Diamondbacks and the San Diego Padres. This is the 16th inning. And check this out. Will Myers thought that was ball 4. It was actually only ball 3. And you say that doesn't really look like a pitcher pitching. That's because it wasn't. It was just Jeff Mathis, the catcher, who had caught for 15 innings. I mean, how many balls do you think he threw in 15 innings? He had to be up to 100 pitches before he actually ever took the mound.
Way over that.
I mean, all of those throws, and then he went in there and he gave it up in the 16th inning. Tough break for Mathis. I'll assume that's his first career loss.
Yeah, a few years back, Chris Davis with the Orioles came into a game, a close game. Usually pitchers pitching in a mop-up, and got a win in a game. Pitched a couple innings and got a win.
I mean, the idea of just catching 15 big league innings by itself is exhausting.
Sure is.
And then they have to go out there and actually pitch. Can't imagine how Jeff Mathis's arm is feeling today. As Adrian Beltre fouls one off, count 2-2. We always love, though, it seems like fans seem to enjoy, at least if they're, especially if their team's on the right side of it, right? Where there's a blowout and you get to see a position player come in and pitch. We saw Ryan Rua the other day start to warm up, did not get in the game, as Adrian Beltre lines a base hit to right field. You see JD Martinez, by the way, fielding that ball. This is his first start in right field at Fenway Park. It was kind of part of the deal when he came over here. They just did not believe that right field was a good fit for him at home. He's played right field a couple times on the road, but when he has been out in the field, it has been mostly left field for JD Martinez.
Yeah, there aren't many right fields, if any, in baseball where you have to cover more ground than you do in this one. It juts out to the Ranger bullpen at 380. It's probably deeper than any right field in baseball at that point.
Rugi Odor steps in now with Adrian Beltre on first. Rugi went down on strikes, called strikes. He did not agree with that pitch from Todd Tischer, much in the way that Nomar Mazara did not, or Jurickson Profar. All three of those guys called out on strikes. It was a foul ball. And let's take a look at this. The spray chart for Adrian Beltre. And really not surprising. He does such an excellent job of using the whole field. But this time, 41% of his hits to right field. A great example. This against left-handers. Just a great example of going the other way.
No kidding. And that last one kind of exemplifies it. That last one was a bullet, too. It looked like a left-handed pull hitter hit that ball. He hit it so sharply.
You know, in this day and age with shifts, we keep hearing, I think fans watching, they see shifts and they say things like, well, just hit the ball the other way. It's not that easy, though, right?
Not if you're not a guy that goes the other way. It's not. You get to that point. It's something if you're starting to learn how to do it and you're practicing it when you're 14 or 15. But if you get to the big leagues as a left-handed pull hitter, it's not easy to do at the big league level. But I think any youngster learning how to hit should never try to pull the ball. If you're going up to the plate, whatever league you're playing in, kid pitch, coach pitch, T-ball, your goal should be to hit a line drive over the pitcher's head to center field. If you continue to do that, you'll develop into a good hitter. Well, if you're going to hit that pitch, you're probably better off trying to hit it to right field. It's got that tailing action to it on the outside part of the plate.
So when you hear that phrase, we hear it all the time about letting the ball travel. Again, sounds simple, but I think for a lot of guys, is it a matter of trusting yourself? Is it as easy as just waiting a little bit longer?
Yeah.
It's just, that's what you got to tell yourself. Just
you have to tell yourself that. You know, you see so many hitters, not necessarily big league hitters, when they try to hit the ball to right field, they still try to get out in front when they hit it. And you have to wait till the ball is back farther. And it feels like when you talk that way that you're going to be late on the pitch, that you're not going to be able to hit the ball in fair territory. But that's the important part. You have to wait for it. And that's one of the reasons Ted Williams encouraged guys to choke up on the bat or use a bat that you can handle so that you can wait that split second longer and your bat's light enough to where you can still get to the ball, opposed to a heavier bat where you might not be able to do that.
Jurickson Profar just looked at a changeup at 88 miles an hour. It's a firm changeup that Rodriguez has to go along with the big fastball, and there's a cutter on the inside corner that misses. Count 2-1. So the T to me always seems like one that we talk about. That's a great one to use, but as a great drill. But generally, younger baseball players, when they're little, think that T is for T-ball, and they don't want to do it anymore. I have a hard time selling my 10-year-old. I'm like, listen, man, this is where it happens.
You know what you need to do with your 10-year-old is bring them out to the ballpark on the day of a game and go in the cage and watch every major league hitter use that T before they go out and take batting practice.
That's what I try to tell them. And it really is such a great drill, and especially when you were just talking about the idea of letting the ball travel and hit it the other way. I mean, just even sitting on a field and trying to hit balls if you're a left-handed hitter into the left field gap or line drives over the shortstop head over off a tee. You can do that, and you can do it well. That's an easy way to impress scouts.
Well, you can go online and watch major league hitters hit balls off a tee. I did that a couple of weeks ago. I felt like watching that, and I watched Francisco Lindor hit balls off a tee, talking about that very same thing. Where you make contact when you pull the ball, where you make contact when you hit it to left field. And it's not the same place, and it really makes sense when you watch a big league hitter describe that and show it. And off a tee, it's much easier to do it than it is with a pitch when you're first learning how to do it. You get the feel of exactly where you're trying to make contact with the ball.
A good example of it right there on a full count when Jurickson Profar going the other way and letting that ball travel. And so it's a 2-out base hit. A couple of runners on here now for the Rangers.
It's almost, well, a little higher than the ball Adrian hit. That one kind of cut back toward the middle of the plate. And it looked like on that particular play, Nunez had shaded a little bit toward second base. And Jurickson found that hole. Solidly hit ball.
It's kind of interesting to me that he would start to play up the middle with a hard-throwing left-hander up. And Jurickson, who's been good against lefties this year, that's been one of the nice surprises about what has happened with him and the at-bats that he's gotten. Putting up some good numbers against lefties coming into this one. That was a concern, hitting 275 before the night started. Well, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, as John Radigan told us, pretty nervous about his first appearance here at Fenway Park. He did a nice job of working an 0-2 count to a full count. And by the way, for Rodriguez, he has had 5 of those already, and that's why you see 75 pitches through 3 2/3. Now, you've been in this spot, go to a new ballpark, maybe a place you always watched on TV, whatever it is, and you get those nerves. Are they gone after one at bat, or is it a full game? At what point do you and maybe it's not the same for everybody.
I think once you get into the game, you start to settle down a little bit. But you know, I grew up a Yankee fan, and my first major league game was in Yankee Stadium, and I was so nervous it felt like my knees were shaking together. You know, the thing you have to get out of your mind. I don't think Isaiah's gone through that problem, but for me in my first game, I was such a big fan of the Yankees. I used to study their box scores. I knew all the statistics for every player, not just the Yankees, but around the league, that when I went to bat for the first time, I had to get out of my mind the thought, how do I even belong in this ballpark where Mickey Mantle played and Ted Williams played and all these players are big league players? How am I ever going to get a hit against these guys? I always wished I grew up not knowing anything about baseball. I would have been better off. Whoa. That's one of the most dangerous spots in baseball right there for a fan. It's so close. At least they're facing. They're not sideways, but boy, those balls, even with the screen blocks the first 5 or 6 rows, but it can go over the top of that screen at 98 or 100 miles an hour.
Probably uncomfortable for that one that's kind of right near the top of the screen. If you're a fan, not sure if it's going to hit or not.
Yeah, it's awful.
Be a tough play for a big leaguer.
I've sat in those seats before, and you feel, if you have any idea what could happen, some of the fans are oblivious to it. But if you have any idea what could happen, and as a ball player you do, it's almost uncomfortable sitting out there. Unless you've got a glove. That's always my recommendation. When in doubt, bring a glove. Even if you can't catch, at least you can block the ball with a glove.
And maybe paint your face like that, because that's pretty awesome.
That little guy's got his glove. He's going to protect his sister.
That takes some work right there. That was very impressive. Another 0-2 after a couple of foul balls by Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, who's fouled off some tough pitches here from Rodriguez. He's fouled him off the left to right. He's done a really nice job. We know this about Isaiah. Very difficult to get those swings and misses. He's been good about putting the ball in play with 2 strikes, but he's got a tough lefty here in Rodriguez, who's getting ready to throw pitch number 81 of the evening. And that one below the zone. That's a great take.
Sure was.
That's what I was saying. Like, as much as John was saying that Isaiah was like, I've been nervous and I had to go run just to kind of calm myself down a little bit. You'd never know it by watching him.
Yeah, I don't think he's probably feeling that way now. That he's gotten over the newness of the park and being here for the first time. And he's already had an at bat in the game. So he's probably feeling pretty competitive now and locked in on the pitcher.
2-2 now from Rodriguez, and this one is lifted high but shallow to left field. Andrew Benintendi is there, and he makes the catch. And so a couple of base hits for the Rangers, but no runs across the board, and maybe the best face paint you will ever see. Absolutely fantastic. good pitch there, up and in, as Bogarts cannot catch up to it. 91, and it's worth keeping an eye on the velocity for Mike Minor. That was something that Jeff Bannister has been very pleased with, as far as his ability to carry not just the velocity, but the life on all of his pitches later into the game as he gets ready to throw pitch number 55, and this one is foul back. It's quite the range. 66. What did he throw at 66?
That'd be a slow curveball.
I'm trying to think that curveball. Yeah, that curveball he throws averages around 81.
Yeah.
That's like a Yu Darvish curveball. Remember that slow one he would flip in there once in a while?
Yeah, I don't know which pitch that would have been today.
It's been a really good run here as of late for Mike Minor, and you see April and May, that ERA in the high 5s, but June and July have been much better. And look at that, the difference of 3.23 points for Mike Minor from April, May, June, July. That is the biggest difference in the game, and so some significant improvements for him. I think getting comfortable again in the rotation certainly was something that the Rangers knew would take a little bit of time for Mike Minor. This one is lined to center field, but Delano DeShields is right there, and so it's one quick out here in the 4th. Time now for a word from our friends at Southwest Kia.
At Southwest Kia, we've made car buying easy. $250 down delivers, monthly payments $250 a month or less. SouthwestKia.com.
So Mitch Moreland now steps in against Mike Minor. We're talking about how good he has been the last couple of months, going back to the beginning of July. The other thing to keep in mind here, of course, he was a reliever all of last year through 77 2/3 innings. He's well past that now. He's at 91 1/3, and that's something the Rangers will keep an eye on how many total innings he can throw this year, how many starts he can make. As this one is lifted high down the left field line. Ryan Rua is in the corner, but this one will reach the stands, and Ryan Rua, I wonder again, there's running toward that door right there. He was pretty close to it. That has to be pretty uncomfortable as a left fielder at his ballpark.
The other thing that's uncomfortable, and I don't know tonight that it's a factor, but a lot of times as you run toward that wall for a high pop-up or a high fly ball, the ball comes back toward center field. So as you get to the foul line, it comes back toward you. And I have a pretty good experience with that because I was playing left field one day here, and got 4 or 5 of my friends from high school sitting in those seats right out there in left field. And I was playing in left center field. Kari Yastrzemski hit a sky-high pop-up down the line that I thought was going to go in the stands. And I was going as fast as I could, pulled up right in front of that wall, and the ball landed on the grass behind me. Not the warning track, but the grass. So I missed it by about 10 feet. I never heard the end of that. The good part was, though, I peeled off, picked up the ball, and threw it in, and Yaz was on first base. He wasn't running on the play, so at least he only got a single.
And I imagine your friends, that you grew up in Western Massachusetts, but were a Yankee fan. Were they Red Sox fans or Yankee
they were
fans?
all, I didn't have many friends that were Yankee fans. They were all Red Sox
so they
fans,
were.
yeah.
So they might have felt bad for you, but at the same time, they were also probably pretty pleased.
They wanted me to get a hit, I think, when I came to play. But I know they wanted the Red Sox to win. And if the game was on the line, then I know they didn't want me to get a hit. They're passionate up here, boy.
Yeah, they are. There's a 1-2. The Mitch Moreland that misses. I had a somewhat similar experience spending a little bit of time with the Yankees, but then with the Mets, because it's the same thing. If you're a Yankee fan, you hate the Red Sox, but you also, if you're in that area in New York, also have to hate the Mets. Even though it doesn't make a ton of sense, it is part of how the whole situation works. I think I was rooted against pretty heavily as a Met. Well, this one is lined to center field. Delano DeShields, a good beat on it and makes the catch. Terrific play there by Delano DeShields, who has had a fantastic season defensive. There was a big error for him in Detroit, but overall, Delano has played an excellent center field.
Boy, Mitch killed this ball. That's a shot. Delano got a good jump and went after it. And you know, that ball in Detroit, I was interested in Delano's comments after, and I wish I thought of it when it happened, because his explanation for that ball is exactly what it looked like. It was one of those line drives. There's not many of them. You don't see it when it's hit to left field or right field, but sometimes when a guy hits a line drive directly to center field, it doesn't have spin on it, and it comes out like a knuckleball. And so Delano, you know, I thought he misjudged it, but what he felt happened was he turned the right way, and then right at the end, that knuckleball action made it drift toward right field. He had to reach back and catch it, and went off his glove. And you know, occasionally a player will make an excuse, but in that particular case, you know, Delano said, look, I still should have caught it, but this is what happened. And, you know, I'm sure as you look back at it, it looked like that's exactly what happened.
those are tough, right? The line drives that are right at outfielders are the most difficult ones, especially there in center field, because you're not sure exactly which way it may end up turning. They're the toughest reads as far as how deep or how shallow. And then if you get one that knuckles like that, it's like trying to catch Stephen Wright here, knuckleball pitcher with the Boston Red Sox, except it's coming in a lot harder.
A lot harder, and you're on the run too. You're not just standing there. But the way he went after the last two balls, Bogarts and Moreland, much more indicative of the way he's playing center field right now.
It's been a good year defensively for Delino, and this one is foul. 3-2. StatCast is powered by AWS, and he's going to show us here that play by Delino to Shields.
Yeah, and this is one hit almost directly over his head, and you can see the good jump. He definitely turned the right way, and the ball was blasted by Mitch Moreland, but Delino easily ran it down.
This one hit down the right field line. Be careful that pesky pole. That one is foul. 107 miles per hour for an out.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. Yeah, you can definitely hit a cheap home run in this ballpark down the left field line and really down the right field line.
So it's 302 feet to the infamous pesky pole. Now it jets out pretty quickly, but as much as we talk about left field, right field can be a little bit tricky as well. If a ball catches that wall, it's not going to bounce off like it usually would in your standard ballpark. That thing can actually roll around almost like a hockey puck in the corner and go around and be really difficult as you see the dimensions.
Yeah, line drive, ground ball right down the line. If you run over to try to get it, you don't get there in time, and it goes by you. It can hug the wall and go right toward the Ranger bullpen.
3-2 is fouled off by Nunez. Good pitch there from Mike Minor at 94 miles an hour. Good movement on that fastball as well.
The other thing right field is in this ballpark, it's conducive to great plays because the wall is low, and occasionally you'll see an outfielder go back, jump up, catch a ball, and go flying right into the bullpen.
Or in the stands there, right? We've seen some outfielders go into the stands too. There's the high pop-up, and Elvis Andrus is under it, and Guggen Odor pretends that he's going to catch it, but it is Elvis that makes the catch. We are through 4 innings here at Fenway Park. Is sponsored by Budweiser, a legendary lager for legendary moments. Ranger fans, this Bud's for you. The MLB.TV All-Star Sale is here. For $39.99, watch every out-of-market regular season game live or on demand. Subscription includes MLB At Bat Premium, allowing you to watch on your favorite supported devices. Visit MLB.TV for details. Welcome back into Fenway Park. Robinson Chirino stepping in against Eduardo Rodriguez here in the top of the 5th inning with the Rangers trailing 2-0. And Chirino looks at the first pitch fastball. Strike one. He's now 14 of 17 first pitch strikes for Rodriguez. just misses off the corner. 94 miles an hour, so still really good velocity. We see it here from Rodriguez. 85 pitches through 4+ so far. He has been a guy that has seen the hundreds plenty of times. High this season was 113 pitches. That was back on June 16th against the Mariners. The ground ball hit to the left side, bobbled by Devers, and Robinson Chirinos is going to reach on what will likely be called an error. Devers tried to field that on the run, but could not get it cleanly.
And Devers, if that is an error, that will be his 19th error before the All-Star break. So while he's a very young player, still getting on to job training at the big league level, and he can make a lot of plays at third base, but he's also booted a lot of them too. 19 errors.
See right there, ruled E5 on Rafael Devers, and so the Rangers have a base runner now. Ryan Rua steps in. Rua fouls the first pitch off.
Red Sox have made 46 errors. He's made 19.
And overall as a club, even with that many, came in 23rd in baseball. The Rangers are tied for second. They came in with 68 errors so far on the season. Rua swung on a miss, count 0-2. We talk a lot about the shifts this year. Of course, the Rangers near the bottom as far as total shifts, but they have been very efficient. The Red Sox right in the middle, 18th overall in shifts this season. They were a +14, meaning they have taken away 14 more hits than they've given up when they have been shifting. And here's the 0-2, and here's a ground ball, and Devers will have another chance. He goes to second. Chirinos will be out, and so it's a fielder's choice for Ryan Rua. That one will go 5-4. Let's take a look at our progressive upcoming schedule here for the Rangers. This is the first of 3 here in Boston. We've got Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday is an off day before we head to play the Baltimore Orioles, currently 40 games under 500, as we showed you. And then it's the All-Star break for all of us except for Shin-Soo Choo. We'll be heading to the All-Star game in Washington, D.C. And then that homestand will start on July 20th, a 7-game homestand, 3 with the Indians and 4 with the Oakland A's. Delano DeShields in for his 3rd plate appearance so far this evening. He struck out in the first. He lined out with the ball hard to the second baseman Nunez in the 3rd.
Well, Rodriguez has thrown a lot of first pitch strikes. He's pitched very well, but that was his 91st pitch in the 5th inning. So deep into the ball game is something he's not going to see tonight.
We're going to think right now for Alex Cora, hoping that he can get through this 5th inning. I mentioned the season high 113 pitches for Rodriguez. He's been as low as 84 pitches, but that 84 pitch outing, he actually got through 6 shutout innings against the Washington Nationals. That was on the 4th of July. This one is lined, and a nice play by Xander Bogaerts, leaping and stealing a hit from Delano DeShields. The second hard hit ball for Delano that has turned into an out.
Yeah, the first one was a rope right at Nunez at second base. This one was a rope that looked like it was in the left field, but Bogaerts, who is tall to begin with, showed some hang time and brought it in. And 2 tough line drive outs for Delano tonight. Nothing to show for either one of them.
Tough break for Delano, who came into this one 0 for his last 11. So now it's 0 for 14, but a couple of quality at-bats and hitting the ball hard. Now this Andrews here with 2 outs in the top of the 5th. And he goes swinging at a first pitch, and you wonder about that line out right there that looked like it was going to be a base hit off the bat for Rodriguez. If he could somehow get through this inning, he may have bought himself another one.
Yeah, exactly.
The 0-1 to Elvis, and there's that cutter in, and we've seen Rodriguez use that against these right-handed hitters. He also has used it against some of the lefties, especially Rougned Odor, that cutter that he has thrown kind of front door. Both of the called 3rd strikes against the left-handed hitting Odor on the inside corner. It seems like he stayed inside to lefties with it and inside to righties as well. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Call for the changeup, and there it is, down and lifted into the gap potentially here. No, nice play in center field by Mookie Betts, the usual right fielder here with the Red Sox, sliding over to center, and he is certainly a very capable center fielder. What a play by Betts.
A couple of hard hit balls, one by the lino. This one for Elvis looked like it might score a run. Instead it turns into an out, and Rodriguez is a happy pitcher.
First pitch to Rafael Devers off the plate count 1-0. Devers made an error in that last inning, but Eduardo Rodriguez got some great help from his defense. A couple of hard hit balls by the Rangers that turned into outs. It's interesting. You look at this Red Sox roster. You're talking about the errors that Devers has made so far this season. You could see maybe they'd be interested in adding a reliever. I mean, certainly everybody is always in the market for arms when they're contending. But if you were to look around the infield, or even in the outfield for that matter, all the positions, there's been some rumblings about would they try to upgrade on the short term at third base. Catcher also maybe, although it's a very difficult thing to do in the middle of the season. Christian Vasquez just went on the DL. Sandy Leon, very capable, and it's maybe an opportunity to upgrade there. But Devers is kind of an interesting guy. I think he is without a doubt their long-term third baseman, but some struggles as he swings and misses at that 94-mile-an-hour fastball and goes down on strikes. It's time for a Chevy game break. Let's throw it over to Rick Renner.
Now that's a pretty good stat. Wilmer Flores tied for the franchise lead.
That's, I mean, you remember the biggest one, right, where he walked it off when he was in tears with the trade and all that one. It's, and he's still there, still wearing that Met uniform.
He's paying the Mets off for not trading him, boy. Yeah, that was, I won't call it heartbreaking, but it was touching to see how badly he wanted to stay there.
It just goes to show you how careful you have to be with the way that information flows, especially on social media. Maybe don't tell your teammates until you know for sure. The ground ball hit to the left side. Nice play by Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Throws over to Jurickson Profar in plenty of time, and Isaiah, with his first opportunity, continues to impress. He has been great at third base.
Got good hands. Boy, that ball just seems to find the middle of his glove. It's a fairly hard hit ball that he has to backhand. You see the ball go right straight in the pocket of his glove. He knows the catcher is running, so he has time to get up and set his feet and make an accurate throw. Nice play.
He's been very good over there. He did a really nice job and has done a nice job when he's gotten his opportunities behind the plate. 6 starts so far this season. He's thrown out 3 of 4 runners, and Mookie Betts goes swinging at the first pitch and drives this one to deep right center field. Nobody is going to get to this one, and it takes a big hop over the wall, and so it's an automatic double for Mookie Betts. And we're just talking about some of the quirkiness of this ballpark, and that triangle out there in right field is one of them. As Delano DeShields comes up limping here a little bit.
Yeah, Delano's probably playing Betts a little deeper than an average player. It just goes to show how much room is out there. Because that was a high fly. That wasn't a line drive. But he's playing a little bit around in left center field, so he has even farther to go. And even with his speed, there's so much room out there that he couldn't get to that ball. Would have been an easy triple if it didn't bounce into the stands, and depending how it caromed, who knows. Saw Benji Molina get his triple. We showed that the other day. That's right where it went out there. So if Benji Molina can get a triple, I think the outfielder fell down, but if Delano fell down on that ball trying to retrieve it, maybe Betts going to come all the way around.
It's a good job by Nomar Mazara to make sure that he's over there, because you're absolutely right. If he dives or slides or falls and that ball catches the wall, it's going to go back in the other direction, and you could have your right fielder in deep center field making that play.
Yep. Yeah, that really is good information to every defensive player. Don't stand and watch it, no matter where it is. Even if you don't think you have a chance to ever touch the ball, run in the direction of the ball just in case, because strange things can happen.
Benintendi now gets an opportunity here with Mookie Betts in scoring position. We showed you this earlier, but they came in. The Red Sox did, leading all of Major League Baseball in these spots, hitting .289, the OPS of .874 with runners in scoring position. And you look at Andrew Benintendi, he has been excellent in these spots as well. .373 for him this year with runners in scoring position. And the 1-1 is taken on the corner. Count now 1-2. He's done the Red Sox over their last 16 games are scoring better than 7 runs per game. 23 home runs for them in 16 games. This offense is a juggernaut. 1-2 from Mike Minor. Fastball misses upstairs. Count even now 2-2. And it is swung on and missed, and so a great job by Mike Minor to retire Andrew Benintendi in a huge spot to keep this game at 2-0. That man right there, Nomar Mazara, will lead things off when we get back. It'll be the middle of the Rangers' order as they try to get on the board. of 2-0. Well, fans, a Coca-Cola family pack offers savings of over 50% on tickets, food, kids zone access, souvenir programs, and Coke soft drinks. It's available July 23rd through the 26th. That's when the Rangers will be taking on the Oakland Athletics in a 4-game series. Make sure you visit TexasRangers.com/specials. So Rodriguez is indeed out there here in the 6th inning after some nice defensive help in the 5th. And so Nomar Mazar will lead things off. He swings at the first pitch. It's a ground ball to the right side, and that is Xander Bogaerts fields it cleanly, and it's 1 pitch, 1 out for the Red Sox early.
Yeah, from the time that I said Rodriguez has thrown whatever it was, 91 or 92 pitches, he's gotten about 4 outs on 8 pitches.
Well, he needed just 13 to get through the 5th inning. He was able to pitch around that leadoff error by Rafael Devers. Get the next 3 batters out, although there was some hard contact, and there has been action in the bullpen of the Boston Red Sox as we take a look at our Southwest.com bullpen live look. And not surprising, I think, as a manager, you see that hard contact. And the guys getting up there and pitch count, and so they want to make sure they have somebody ready, and they will. There's Heath Hembry, the right-hander, warming up. No left-handers in that bullpen for the Boston Red Sox. Adrian Beltre gets jammed here, and a little slow ground ball back to Rodriguez, and he throws over to first, and so it's 2 outs now here for the Rangers. I don't believe in the jinx, Tom, but you might be right.
Yeah.
I mean, it seemed like he was potentially near his last few pitches, and since then has recorded about 4 or 5 outs, and he's still under 100.
It always feels like a jinx because every time you do it and it happens the opposite way, you notice it. When you say something like that and it just continues to go in that direction, it doesn't register and you don't notice it.
And Rougned Odor going the other way on a first pitch, and so it is a 2-out base hit for the Rangers second baseman.
Yep, good job. Rangers just need one swing of the bat like the Red Sox had. Pop one over the monster, tie this game. Pitch out over the plate. Rugi slices it into left field. Jorgensen had a well-hit ground ball single his last time up. Got his speed on first base. Hit one down the line or in the gap. See if Rugi can make it all the way around from first.
Profar 1 for 2 tonight. He's got a base hit, and he struck out looking back in the 2nd inning. He's been good against lefties this year as he looks at that first pitch down below the zone. 275 coming into this one against left-handers. You see the overall numbers: 248, 9 home runs with the 770 OPS. That's the on-base plus slugging. League average right around 750. I think you bring up a good point, Tom. In this ballpark especially, and Mike Minor has gotten some big outs and some big spots to limit the Red Sox to just the 2 runs. And the idea of getting a run around and being right back in this game, certainly the Rangers have that kind of power. Those little plays here and there. Mike Minor, big pitches that he's made, and runners at 2nd and 3rd with 1 out. He was able to get out of that, and there are no easy outs in this Red Sox lineup. You see newly acquired Cody Guerin up in the Ranger bullpen, the right-hander coming over from the San Francisco Giants. There's a 3-0 taken for a strike. This at bat for Jurickson Profar, by the way. That is the first 2-0 and then eventually 3-0 count that we have seen tonight for Eduardo Rodriguez. And so, you know, the pitch count has gotten up there. He's done a really nice job. Hasn't fallen that far behind very many guys. A couple of walks that came early, one in the first, one in the second, and that has been it. Here comes pitch number 105 to Jurickson Profar, and then just misses off the corner. So that 2-out walk will put runners at 1st and 2nd, and here comes manager Alex Cora. And he makes the signal, and that is going to be it for Eduardo Rodriguez. The left-hander's night is over. We'll tell you all about the new Red Sox reliever when we get back. By Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. And by Ford. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer during the Ford Summer Sales Event. Ford is the best in Texas. Well, welcome back to Fenway Park. We're in the top of the 6th inning. A couple outs and a couple of base runners on for the Texas Rangers. There is Eduardo Rodriguez. His night is over after that walk to Rougned Odor, and so there is a new pitcher in, and it is right-hander Heath Hembree.
Yeah, Hembree's been throwing the ball well. In his last 20 innings, he's struck out 30. Since June 2nd, opponents are 3 for 44 against him. Left-hand hitters are 0 for their last 20, so he's been on a pretty good roll.
He certainly has, and even though I mentioned no left-handers in the bullpen for the Red Sox, Hembree's got some very good numbers. You mentioned the streak that he has been on, but also just overall for him this year's left-handers hitting just 174, and there were a couple of those righties down in that bullpen that have been good against lefties. Joe Kelly, just an .098 batting average against lefties, and so well, you think you'd like to have a lefty in your bullpen. If you have better righties that are good at getting lefties out, you're going to go ahead and go with the all-righty bullpen, and that's what Alex Cora has done. There's Joe Kelly flicking some sunflower seeds. A little bit of a scare Sunday night against the Kansas City Royals. Had thrown 2/3 of an inning and came out because he was feeling lightheaded and a little bit dizzy, but they said he's fine.
Well, Hembree, like many, almost most late inning bullpen guys, tunes it up in the mid-90s. It's almost getting to where you don't really say, whoa, there's a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, because pretty much everyone does throw 95 miles an hour nowadays.
Now it's more like if you don't throw 95, who let this guy in?
Well, this guy doesn't throw very hard, but he's been pretty good out in the bullpen.
Nice job by Sandy Leone on that pitch in the dirt at 90 miles an hour from Hembree. You saw that number up there in the earlier series down in Arlington. The Boston Red Sox bullpen very good against the Rangers at a 0.73 ERA. Kiner-Falefa 0 for 1. He had a walk and a flyout. There's a 1-2, and he swings and misses, and so Isaiah Kiner-Falefa goes down on strikes, and the Rangers leave a couple of more. We're through 5.5 here at Fenway. Rangers still trailing 2-0. Here in the bottom of the 6th inning, and we are going to get to our TXU power player to watch, and it is going to be that man right there. JD Martinez is having a pretty incredible year, and you start digging in the numbers, and there are a lot of interesting places to go. But 27 home runs, well, that leads all of Major League Baseball. That's cool. But it's also more home runs than any Red Sox player hit all of last season. Mookie Betts had 24. That led the team, and so that was $110 million well spent by Dave Dombrowski. What a difference it has made for the Boston Red Sox, even though they had a good year last year. They won the American League East with 93 wins, but it feels like a different team. It feels like a better team.
Definitely does. His 27 home runs before the All-Star break, the 3rd most by a Red Sox ever. David Ortiz and Carl Yastrzemski both had 31.
Did you say prior to the break?
Prior to the break.
So he's got some time still.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not hope it happens in this series, but pretty amazing to think.
You know, if you say Yaz in 1969 had 31 home runs, that must have been a great season. Well, it was a good season. His great season, though, was 1967. The year the Red Sox went to the World Series. He had 326, 44 home runs, 121 RBIs, and 112 runs. Won the Triple Crown, scored the most runs in the league. And if you were at all a baseball fan and you were watching the final 2 weeks of the 67 season, that's about as good as it gets in a pennant race. And it seemed like any time the Red Sox needed a run late in the game, ahead by 1, tied, or behind by 1 or 2, Yaz came through with a hit. It was just an incredible Triple Crown MVP season.
Could change it there for Mike Minor as he gets JD Martinez to swing through the 2-1 pitch. And a 2-2, and this one is grounded to the left side. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa has it over to first base, and so a nice job by Mike Minor to retire JD Martinez.
Let's take a look at our Ford game summary. We're going to look at the one pitch that resulted in the only runs in this ball game. It was a fastball middle in to Steve Pearce, and Steve Pearce hit a rope over the Green Monster, smashed against the side of one of those seats. No telling where it would have ended up, out on Lansdowne Street somewhere. That was a rope, and that was the home run, and those are the only 2 runs of the game. That happened in the 1st inning with 2 outs.
It's been a nice kind of sneaky addition here for the Boston Red Sox, who already had a really good lineup. But it's a good pickup at 35 years old. Steve Pearce certainly still has it, and we showed you some of the numbers and what he has done. The splits are really good. The one thing we didn't have a chance to bring up, with runners in scoring position, and thankfully he doesn't have any right now, it's been limited, the at-bats, but he's hitting .545 in those spots, and so he has been really good when he's gotten opportunities to drive runners in. And a little bit of a challenge here for Mike Minor. This is Mike Minor's numbers each time through the order. 2nd and 3rd time through, pretty similar, and he's actually talked about trying to be a little bit better 3rd time through. The OPS starts to go up a little bit for Mike Minor. The batting averages are pretty close 2nd time through, 1st time through. As we watch Steve Pearce line one into left field, and it'll be a 1-out base hit for Pearce.
That looked like that pitch was going to eat him up on the inside part of the plate, but somehow he got enough of the bat on it to actually shoot a pretty solid line drive out there to left field.
Well, Jeff Bannister is on his way out, and he has made the call. Mike Minor's evening will be over, and it does appear that we will see the Ranger debut of Cody Gearin when we get back.
To make his Rangers debut. I watched him in the clubhouse today as he literally introduced himself to all of his new teammates. It's the first time he's ever been traded, although he did have two guys that he has played with before. Ironically, Mike Minor, who he's relieving now, and he were teammates in Atlanta, and Matt Moore, of course, was in San Francisco, and so he knows those two guys. Didn't know anybody else on the team. He says the strangest part about the trade, of course, is he told his wife, it always seems like, there could be a trade, but it seems like a trade is something that happens to somebody else. Until yesterday when it happened to Corey Guerin, guys.
That first time in his career that he has been traded, as you mentioned, originally drafted by the Atlanta Braves, was released and then signed as a free agent by the Giants, and a couple years later here in 2018 he's now been traded for the first time in his career.
We'll take a look at the numbers this season with the Giants. 35 games, a 4.20 ERA. You go back to his time with Atlanta and San Francisco over the years, 11-9, a 3.57 ERA. Good solid numbers for a middle reliever. Several years with the Braves, several years with the Giants.
Good slider there from Corey Guerin, and the count now 0-2 to Xander Bogaerts.
Yeah, that would not be a day at the beach for a right-hand hitter, that last pitch.
It's been a good one for him, even though that ERA is up a little bit compared to last year. That dominant season he had with the Giants in 2017, the 1.99 ERA. This year, that slider right there you just saw has been very good. It's the pitch in which he has registered the most strikeouts, 22 of them so far, make it now 23 on the slider this season for Corey Guerin.
Let's take a look at it. You can see it coming out of his hand, the slider spin as it goes away from the bat. Bogaerts was the American League Player of the Week. In 4 games, he hit .500. He walked 8 times and didn't strike out. So he came into this game on a pretty good streak. And over, a week or so, he'd walked 8 times and hadn't struck out, but he hadn't seen that pitch. Well, those last 2 sliders were nasty pitches. I don't know how many times he'd faced Corey, probably not very many. But if he hadn't faced him at all, trying to hit that slider the first time you see it, pretty tall task.
He's got that kind of little low 3/4 arm angle. It's certainly very difficult for right-handed hitters.
Yeah.
Slider good for him this year, 159 batting average against. Last year as well, a 134 batting average against that pitch. It's a little bit surprising when you look at that arm angle that he doesn't have a higher ground ball rate. 36% for Guerin this season. League average this year has been up a little bit, about 46% overall for the league. And you can even see the movement on the fastball. And you see it there, 93 miles an hour. And
so there's a good stat. The league ground ball rate is up.
A little bit, yeah.
And we're all talking about launch angle. You think it would be down.
You would think. I think these guys feel like they're hitting the ball in the air more than they actually are. J.D. Martinez is a perfect example of a guy who talks about hitting the ball in the air, not trying to hit ground balls, and he's had 2 monster seasons now back to back, and his ground ball rate is at a career high. His fly ball rate is at a career low.
That's so weird.
But it's probably just the mindset. He's like, I'm not even trying to hit line drives, but he's hitting a lot of line drives. His line drive rate is high for him as well this year. So I think it's maybe the perception of the approach, I would guess.
Whatever he's doing, I wouldn't change it.
Well, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about with pitches, right? Where a pitcher might say, hey, yeah, here's my cutter, but really it's a slider, but he just wants to tell himself it's a cutter, and that works better. And call it whatever you want and say you're not hitting very many ground balls. Doesn't matter. The results are good.
Well, one nice story coming out of this series is Mitch Moreland making the All-Star team. I love the story they told when Alex Cora got his team together and announced the All-Stars. He waited for last. They had 5 of them. And of course, everybody got pats on the back. J.D. Martinez, Mookie Betts, and the rest of them. And when they got to Mitch and he announced Mitch's name, it was like they erupted. Standing ovation. They came over and they hugged him because they were so happy for him. And I think what the Red Sox have found out is what Ranger fans have known for a long time, that Mitch is really one of the good guys in the game. So everyone's happy for him, not just Red Sox fans, Ranger fans are too.
A nice moment for him and a nice debut for Corey Guerin as he retires both hitters he faces here in the 6th inning. They trail the Red Sox by a score of 2-0. Well, you can host your next group or company outing of 20 or more at a Rangers game. Add on picnic areas, meal deals, or other experiences to make your group outing memorable. Make sure you visit texasrangers.com/groups. Robinson Chirino set to lead things off here in the 7th for the Rangers, and he'll face a new reliever in Brandon Workman.
Only the 15th game for Brandon Workman, but a nice ERA, great whip. Walks plus hits per innings pitched less than 1. That's great. Good strikeout to walk ratio as well. Fastball and a cutter.
Chirinos
curveball
shows bunt. There's the curveball, and he pulls it back.
He might not.
Strike
I
one.
didn't see what he called his pitches, but I'm going to call that one a curveball. Okay, there's the cutter, and the one before it was the curve.
To Chirinos. There's another breaking ball. That one is down. So count now 2-1 for the Rangers catcher. Robbie has been swinging the bat much better as of late. Came into this one 10 for his last 36. 3 home runs and 4 doubles. 14 RBIs over that span as well. And the 3-1 now to Chirinos, and is lifted to center field. Mookie Betts is back near the track. He is going to play this one off the wall, and it takes a big bounce more toward right field. Chirinos is around second. He's going to go for 3. Here's the throw, not in time. And so it is a triple for Robinson Chirinos to lead things off here in the 7th inning for the Rangers.
Well, what an exciting play. It can only happen in this ballpark, too. Got that high wall. It angles from 379 feet out to 420 feet. Long, high fly ball. Excellent outfielder going after it. Robinson really put a charge in this ball. Betts played it off the wall, but here's one of those caroms you're talking about, CJ. Gets a little bit too close to the wall. By the time he turned around, the ball goes by him. You have to make up your mind a little bit earlier than that. Goes by him, and instead of a double, it turns into a triple. So a great start to the 7th inning, and a ball that would have been a home run in a lot of places.
That is the truth. And so for Robinson Chirinos, we showed you that there as Joey Gallo steps into pinch hit now. First triple of the season for Chirinos, 3rd of his career. And Joey Gallo takes a first pitch strike. And part of the reason the workload for Workman maybe not as high as you would expect. He was sent down at the end of spring training. He was recalled on June 5th by the Red Sox. And the 0-1 to Gallo, and that breaking ball misses. We saw Joey, I can't remember what game that was, where he pinch hit, got down on the count 0-2 pretty quickly, and ended up working a 12 pitch at bat when it was all said and done. See, we don't see Joey pinch hitting very much over the course of his career, and certainly something, talk about this a lot, difficult skill set for a lot of hitters. Not very many people comfortable in these spots. That one is way upstairs. Count now 2-1. This will be the 19th plate appearance for Joey Gallo as a pinch hitter. He's 2 for 14 with a double and 4 walks in his pinch hit appearances. And there's the 2-1. That one is swung on and missed. Count even now 2-2. A big shift for Joey Gallo to the right side. Not surprising, even though I mentioned the Boston Red Sox only shift. They're 18th overall in Major League Baseball. It's kind of middle of the road. Joey Gallo saw this number today. 96% of his at-bats, and it feels like 100. He has the shift against him.
Yeah. Yeah, it does feel like 100.
Here's the 2-2, and this one is swung on and missed, and Joey Gallo goes down on strikes. Time now for a word from our friends at Kia.
At Kia, get America's best value backed by a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty.
Start with one out and Robinson Chirinos at third base. Delino DeShields will step in. It's been a tough night for Delino. Defensively, he has been excellent, and he's actually had some good at-bats, but unfortunately for Delino, they have not resulted in any hits. A line out to second, a line out to short. He has been robbed of a couple of balls that have been hit hard.
Now, we've been talking, and I'm sure we'll continue talking for the last part of this series, what a spectacular place this is to come watch a game, to play in. And it's really hard to think of anything bad about this ballpark. Some people complain that the seats are too close together. It's not quite as luxurious as the new stadiums. And I think that's just something that you have to put up with because the park is so old.
Ground ball to left side. Devers makes a nice play. Throws over to first. Delino is retired, and Chirinos had to hold. No chance for Robbie to score on that ground ball. And so after a leadoff triple, there are now 2 outs, and Chirinos still at third base.
Yeah, Robbie did what he needed to do as a base runner. Take off toward third. He knows Devers can't get back to tag him. Just in case Devers threw that ball to first, he might have been able to score. But as it was, Devers looked him back just like he should and made the out at first base. There is one thing as a player that's terrible about this ballpark, and that's the walk back to the bench after you strike out. That's a long walk, boy.
Yeah, these dugouts are, I guess they're down the line a little bit too. And they're back and they're just kind of further away than most of your dugouts. And they're small.
Depending on who the fans are, you have to walk by Red Sox fans. But for me, Bert Hawkins was our traveling secretary, and he always put my mom and dad right in the club box right next to the dugout right there. And so I'd have to hear it from the Red Sox fans and then have to walk right in front of my mom and dad after a strikeout. It was a bad feeling.
But were they here for the home run? The 2-run home run?
They were here for that.
That you hit off Dick Pole in 1976?
Wow, that's pretty good.
I remember. No, it was only 3. I don't remember.
As a matter of fact, another funny thing about that is they had the club box, and back then the club box was the one right on the field, right next to the dugout. So if you're sitting in that seat, you can look right into the dugout. In fact, you might be sitting, the man right there, right next to Jeff Bannister. So they had the box one night right next to Billy Martin on a night where there was a lot of contentious plays. And after the game, my mother said, would you mind if my father, your father and me, sit somewhere else other than those seats the next time? And so from then on, they sat behind home plate.
The ground ball bobbled by Nunez, but he recovers to retire Elvis Andrus. And so after the leadoff triple, the Rangers unable to score Robinson Chirinos will stretch here at Fenway. Rangers 2-0. Well, friends, Saturday, July 21st at 7:05, the Rangers will be playing the Indians, and the first 15,000 fans will get themselves an Elvis Andrus Best Friends bobblehead. That's courtesy of Dr. Pepper and Tom Thumb. It's the second in a series of 2 Best Friends bobbleheads. Get your tickets at TexasRangers.com or by calling 972-RANGERS. There's Joey Gallo staying in the game in left field after pinch hitting for Ryan Rua in the 7th inning. Corey Guerin is out for his 2nd inning of work, and this is something that you can probably expect to see as that first pitch to Nunez is fouled off. Jeff Bannister mentioned this before the game, that Guerin would kind of slide into that multi-inning role, something similar to what we saw from Tony Barnett and Jesse Chavez prior to their roles changing a little bit. Tony obviously on the DL now, just got transferred to the 60-day DL. And then Jesse Chavez has kind of moved up as far as in the pecking order of that bullpen. He's pitched so well.
Jesse's earned it.
And so Guerin has only had 2 outings of more than 1 inning this year. He had 2 inning outings. Everything else has been an inning or less so far. And that is in the, where's that game? Oh, there it is. 35 games that he pitched for the Giants this year. That one left upstairs but fouled off. So you saw Guerin there trying to sweep that slider down and away, and based on what we've seen so far, it's a pretty good looking pitch.
Sure it is. Bogarts found out. He saw 2 of them.
We were talking about this before and kind of joking about it too to some degree, but you know, look at Guerin's ERA, a little bit high coming out of the National League. The Giants said he, compared to what he did a year ago, but you dig into the game logs and he's got 3 games in which he went a total of 1 inning and a third and let up 8 earned runs. He's only let up 14 the whole year.
Yeah.
And so you can look at an inning and a third that didn't necessarily go the way that he had hoped, and you're looking at more than half of his ERA.
How many innings does he have?
He has a total amount of 30 innings coming into this one.
So say gets down to 29, 6 earned runs in 29 innings. That's going to be something around low 2s probably, isn't it?
I would be pretty impressed that you were able to even think about doing that in your head. So
Well,
I'm going to use my calculator.
6 and 18 innings would be 3, so it's twice as good as that. I'd say it's got to be right at 2.
I think I have it at a 188 if my math is right. So I said an
sounds
inning
right.
and 2/3, or excuse me, an inning and a third. So that would knock down. You go ahead and take the 28 and 2/3 innings, right? So that's 28.6666. Times that by the 6 runs he let up, and it is a 1.88 ERA. So in his other, what is that, 32 games, 32 of the 35, he's had a 1.8.
Yeah, so for the predominant part of the season, he's been below average. I mean, below 2 with his earned run average.
Gets a ground ball here from Eduardo Nunez, first out, so it's 3 straight retired for Corey Guerin as a Ranger. Well, I think it's important. You have to dig in because it happens a lot. It's not uncommon where you see relievers, especially this time of the year, still trying to get your innings up a little bit. And so if you're looking to acquire someone, dig a little bit deeper beyond the ERA, and you certainly want to look at the strikeout rate, the walk rate, the hard contact, the home runs. 5 home runs allowed for Guerin this season. 3 of those came in those 3 outings over the inning and a third that we talked about.
Yeah, you could probably do the same thing with Keone. Keone has a nice ERA at 3.38. But yeah, I think you already mentioned either today or yesterday what his ERA is in his save situations. So the runs he's given up, most of them have come in non-save situations.
He has absolutely crushed it as the Rangers closer this year in big spots. He has been excellent. Devers now ahead in the count 1-0 against Guerin. And there's a ground ball into the right side and an easy play for Rougned Odor. And so 2 quick outs here in the bottom of the 7th for Guerin. It's really good so far. You know, something to be said too, like you have a couple of those bad games and it was pretty successful with the Giants, and their season they're kind of hanging in the balance there a little bit. So the idea of flipping the script, we talk about it all the time, changing uniforms, going to a little bit of a different environment. This will be his 3rd big league team. And the other part of this too is, some people may be wondering why would the Rangers want a veteran reliever at this point based on how the season is going. Well, there's another year of control on Corey Gearing. And so
Yeah.
it's not just about this year, but also the opportunity, if he throws well and everybody likes what they see, that he would be in this uniform again next year.
He's got a good solid track record. He's healthy. He's throwing the ball well. And right now the Rangers have Tony Barnett, Matt Bush on the disabled list, so they can use some depth down in their bullpen. And knowing you can have them for another year. Solid part of the equation.
I think it's safe to say that there is not a team in Major League Baseball that has ever said, we have too many relievers. We have too many good relievers. We don't know what to do.
No. Yeah, if they did, they weren't complaining about it. So I'm glad we got too many. We're going to need them all.
So we'll count to Sandy Leone, the catcher tonight for the Boston Red Sox, and he'll be catching a little bit more now with Christian Vasquez going on the DL. The issue they ran into is that, and it'll be interesting to see if they approach this and try to do anything about it, is Blake Swihart has been in this organization for a while, but he has not done a lot of catching. He's moved around. He's played a ton of different positions. But as of now, the Red Sox are saying he will be their backup catcher. He has caught. He's played first. He's played second, third, left, and right. I believe it's only about 14 innings behind the plate for him this year.
Yeah, and you know, you go back several years, and I can remember reading reports of potential trades, and every time the Red Sox were looking to acquire somebody, you would see the other team is asking for Blake Swihart, but that's a deal breaker. The Red Sox won't trade him, and that's when he was predominantly a catcher. So I'm not exactly sure what happened over the years that diminished his catching time in the eyes of the Red Sox.
We're talking about Kela in the year that he's had. 7 of his 12 runs came over 2 games in an inning in the third. Just 2 that got away. Otherwise, the overall numbers, overall area would be dominant.
Situations, yeah.
Yep.
We were talking about in the pregame show all-star snubs or all-star cheating, whatever we were calling it.
We're cheated.
And Keone was obviously a guy that could easily have made the all-star team. He pitched like an all-star for sure.
Full count pitch from Gearing. This one is lifted to right field, not very deep. Nomar Mazara is there. He makes the catch, and what a debut for Corey Gearing. It is 5 up and 5 down. Very impressive with a strikeout mixed in there as well. We are through 7, and it appears that Joe Kelly will be coming out of the Boston Red Sox bullpen. Appreciate that. And here we are back at Fenway Park. And it's been a beautiful evening here and a well-pitched game. Just 2 runs scored so far. They all came in the first inning for the Red Sox on the Steve Pearce home run. Mike Minor, Eduardo Rodriguez, the starters, 2 lefties, but it has been all about the bullpens now. And the Red Sox go back into that bullpen one more time as the right-hander Joe Kelly steps out for Alex Cora's club.
Well, Joe Kelly's done an excellent job for the Red Sox in the role he's pitching in right now in this ball game. Setup reliever. 37 innings, only 23 hits, a 176 opponent's batting average. And he keeps the ball in the ballpark. He's only given up 3 home runs. Throws a heavy ball, mid-90s or better.
The first pitch breaking ball is grounded to the left side, but nobody there because of the shift. And so Nomar Mazara's got himself a leadoff base hit here in the top of the 8th.
Let's see if the Rangers can do something here in the 8th inning with a leadoff man on base. Had a leadoff triple in the 7th inning by Robinson Chirinos and couldn't score. And in a game like this, that's a huge part of the ball game.
So we've talked a lot about this with Nomar Mazara, where they have left that side. Some teams have closed it up a little bit. And look at this. Check this out. Nomar Mazara has lost 25 hits this season to shifts. Joey Gallo is right behind him at 21. But there was a case where the Boston Red Sox left that shortstop position open, and Nomar's talked about it. He notices it, and he feels like he can adjust his swing accordingly, and he has. Even though he's lost that many hits to the shift, in spots like that, to swing at a first pitch breaking ball, that's pretty impressive.
It is pretty impressive. And, you know, he looks like the kind of hitter that could do that. As you know, you were talking earlier about some guys. It's a lot harder than it would sound to try to hit the ball the other way, but he really appears as a young hitter to be the kind of guy that can do that. That's not going to be a pull hitter, that can make them play him straight up and not put that shift on against him.
Interesting too, I think, to see him offer at that first pitch breaking ball. You mentioned Kelly and the stuff that he has and the high-powered fastball, and Adrian Beltre fouls off that 97-mile-an-hour fastball from Kelly. And it's a little bit harder to stick out with your velocity these days. He has been one of the harder throwing relievers that we have seen over the last couple of years. We are seeing way too many guys that are touching 100 and more. Jordan Hicks is averaging 100 miles an hour with the Cardinals this year on his fastball. We've seen him touch 104.
Has he set the record, didn't he?
Yeah, and not the greatest of command either. I mean, as a hitter, as we see Adrian Beltre swing and miss at the 0-2, and he's down on strikes.
Yeah, if you don't have much command and you're throwing 100 miles an hour, no one's digging in against you. I promise you that.
So with 1 out, Rougned Odor will step in, and just to kind of finish that up, the conversation with Joe Kelly, according to Fangraphs, he is the 6th highest average fastball velocity of any reliever in the big leagues, averaging 97.9 miles per hour. Tied right there with Dylan Betances. He's a good athlete too. I don't say that too often about pitchers. Joe Kelly's.
I'm glad you said that, not me. You were a pitcher.
And I wasn't much of an athlete. There's a first pitch off speed pitch that misses downstairs. I mentioned Kelly on Sunday. Yesterday? No, was it Saturday? When they were in Kansas City. Left the game after 2/3 of an inning just because he was feeling a little bit lightheaded, a little bit dizzy. And he's obviously fine now. Scary too is he saw him kind of grabbing his chest a little bit after he recorded a second out. Talking about this a little bit earlier as well. No lefties in the Red Sox bullpen, but Kelly's numbers against lefties pretty impressive at 0.98. Now that will go up after the Nomar Mazara base hit. But almost as surprising is to see right-handers hitting 243 off of him with the live stuff that he has. Righties have been hanging in there against Kelly. No one misses way outside at 88. Kelly has fallen behind Rougned Odor 3-0. Talking earlier, I mentioned the plate appearances and the rate in which Rougned Odor has been walking much improved, the best that he has seen at any moment in his career so far this season. He takes that 3-1 pitch, excuse me, 3-0 pitch for a strike. I got to tell you, I'm always impressed. I know that Photoshop and everything else is available, but Corey Guerin already has a pitcher in a Texas Rangers uniform.
What?
On like the Baseball Savant page and the StatCast page. He literally just got here this afternoon. There's the 3-1, and this one is fouled off. 98 miles an hour from Kelly.
That kind of shows you how hard Kelly's throwing when you see Rougned Odor with a little less than an aggressive swing on a 3-1 pitch.
Kelly is well respected here in Boston. Earlier this season, a little bit of a brawl with the New York Yankees that he was involved in. Certainly make yourself a lot of friends in Boston by starting fights with Yankees. The full count pitch, and Odor doesn't swing, but it is a called third strike on the pitch. Let's take a look at tomorrow's starter, brought to you by Ford. And it's still TBD for the Boston Red Sox, but we know that Giovanni Gallardo will be going for the Texas Rangers. He is 3-0 in his 4 starts. High ERA, but he'll take the 7 runs of support that he has been averaging so far. The Rangers are 4-0 in those 4 starts by Gallardo. So the reason that the situation was TBD, a lot of that was based on how things were going to go tonight. If the Rangers, excuse me, if the Red Sox needed to use anybody out of their bullpen that could potentially start, then they may have to adjust accordingly. So we'll know after the game who will be starting. Jurickson profile 1 for 2 this evening, a single and a walk, 9 home runs, 46 RBIs on the season for Jurickson. He struck out looking in the 2nd inning. That base hit came in the 4th. 1-0 is swung on and missed, and it seems like we're seeing a decent amount of changeup. We keep talking about that fastball, but a lot of off-speed pitches here from Joe Kelly. The 1-1 to Jurickson, breaking ball in the dirt. Nice pick by Leon.
Oh man!
And a great job by Nomar Mazara to get back.
Boy, if you get a pickoff throw on that pitch, you've made one great play. You're Pudge Rodriguez if you can do that. Ball bounces, he traps it, and fires it. He didn't get Nomar, but it was fairly close.
You can't blame him for getting off there, right? The odds of him picking that cleanly.
I think Nomar was envisioning himself at second base.
And there's a fastball grounded up the middle, but Xander Bogaerts is right there. He'll beat Nomar Mazara to the bag, and so the inning is over. We head to the bottom of the 8th here in Fenway, and Jesse Chavez will come on for the Rangers.
check out the newest Ranger, Corey Guerin. Excellent slider for a strikeout. A hard sinker to Mitch Moreland for a ground out. And then to show some variety, a really good changeup to Rafael Devers for the same type of a ground out. So for Corey Guerin in his first appearance in a Ranger uniform, an inning and 2/3, 5 up, 5 down, and a strikeout. Excellent work.
That man right there, pretty happy with what he saw. That is Doug Brocail, the Rangers pitching coach, and maybe even to make it more impressive, we saw him. He checked into the hotel today. I'm going to assume that he was flying from somewhere today. As the first pitch from Jesse Chavez is grounded up the middle, and Mookie Betts is reached with a base hit. Second hit of the evening for Mookie Betts, as we take a look at the numbers for Jesse Chavez this year.
Yep, the numbers for Jesse Chavez just continue to get better and better. They're pretty good right now. A nice ERA, good strikeout to walk ratio, fastball, slider, changeup, and a cutter. He's been throwing the ball extremely well. He's gone from kind of a long man, middle reliever type to a guy who's being used more and more late in the ball game.
Now it's time for our Lowe's whole team together as we take a look at what has been going on here with the Ranger bullpen. It has been very good as of late. Since June 18th, here are some numbers on those guys. Jose Leclerc has not allowed a run. Claudio, Keller, Chavez all throwing the ball really well. You can go even a little bit further back for Jesse, as you were mentioning. He's transitioned roles here a little bit. Go back to June 1st, and the ERA is a 1.66 in 21 2/3 innings. And he has been on a very nice run. 17 strikeouts to just 5 walks. One of those intentional over that time. Well, here's a ground ball hit to the right side. That's going to get through for a base hit, and so it's back-to-back singles to start off the 8th inning here for the Red Sox.
Well, we talked a lot about both Betts and Benintendi early in the ball game, before the game, and both of them have had a single and a double in the game. Benintendi turns on that inside pitch. Both those guys are good hitters. They hit for some power, they hit for average, they use the whole field. They don't get fooled that much. Betts doesn't strike out much. Both of them walk a lot. Boy, 2 guys at the top of the order, doesn't get much better than that. And then when you add J.D. Martinez to the equation, 3 guys, 1, 2, and 3 in the lineup. Not many lineups can boast anything close to that.
Tough lineup indeed, as J.D. Martinez swings and misses. He's 1 for 3 so far this evening. He had that single in the first inning, scored on the Steve Pearce home run, and that has been all the offense that we have seen so far tonight. And combined in these spots, these teams are 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. The Rangers 0 for 5. The Red Sox 0 for 3. Here's the 1-1 from Jesse, and another swing and miss on a fastball to J.D. Martinez. Not an easy thing to do. This guy has been crushing fastballs this season.
This one looks like it almost has slight cutting action to it. In fact, the way it came out of his glove, out of his hand, it does. Pretty nice pitch. Outside corner. I don't know how much that movement would be, a couple of inches maybe, but enough to make it a tough pitch for J.D. Martinez.
Jesse way ahead, 1-2, inside move, no throw to second base. Mookie Betts not very far off the bag. So I mentioned the swings and misses on the fastballs, why that's so impressive. Look at this. This is Major League Baseball, what these guys are slugging on fastballs. Mookie Betts 735, J.D. Martinez 704. The league is slugging 442 on fastballs. That is a huge jump.
And all 4 of those guys are all-stars too. So how they became all-stars, pounding the fastball.
Oh my God. Wow.
No wonder he's having an all-star season.
Good gracious.
He doesn't have a cold zone. 1 spot up and in.
It's a red alert.
But you better hit it, because if it's a little bit to the left, it's going to be a 412 average.
And he's pretty well disciplined, as are most of the hitters in this lineup. You're not going to see him go out of the zone too often. A 33% what we call O swing percentage, which is right around league average, and that just means how often are you swinging at pitches outside of the zone. And as good as that 33% is, again, about average. Mookie Betts has an absurdly low 18% chase rate.
Boy. We talked about him the other day. 41 walks, 40 strikeouts.
Well, this one is swung on and hit high in the air to deep left field, and it is gone over the Green Monster. JD Martinez has just hit a 3-run home run. That is number 28 for him on the season.
As we've said many times tonight, it's a tough lineup to get through. And the 3 guys in the top of the lineup are pretty tough. I think if you're going to pitch them anyway, you try to throw it in, maybe a little higher than that based on our hot zone. But in this ballpark, JD Martinez is a major force. He's hit 18 of his home runs in this ballpark, has way over half of his RBIs.
Likely the frustrating part there for Jesse Chavez was that he hit his spot. He threw that ball exactly where he wanted to. And that's the kind of year that JD Martinez is having. And he's even hitting pitchers' pitches out and hitting them hard. 5-0 now. The Red Sox are leading the Rangers. All 5 runs have come via the home run. That one that you just saw by JD Martinez, and the other one back in the first inning by the man that's at the plate right now, Steve Pearce. Ground ball hit to the left side. Elvis Andrus has it easily. Nice hop for him, and he's over to first base with a good throw, and 1 out here now in the 8th. So this is interesting with the Red Sox. 54 games this season, they have scored 5 or more runs. That's the most in the game. They're 21-6 in those spots since May 16th. It's been a good bullpen. As you see Dustin Pedroia there on the DL talking to Alex Cora.
Well, Craig Kimbrell was warmed up when it was a save situation, but he's not warming up now, so Rangers won't see him in the 9th inning.
Here's Kimbrell. Imagine that's happened a few times. Close games with this offense.
With this team.
It's Ryan Brazier, the right-hander, warming up. There's 1-2 to Bogarts, fouled off again. And there's another foul ball back our way. Have you ever gotten a foul ball in this booth?
I don't think so. No, I don't remember one. It's, you know, in an area where you could conceivably get one. As close as we're high, but we're close.
This is one of the more unusual angles, I think, for
a
broadcast booth. It's a cool one. It takes a little while to get used to it, as we see Xander Bogaerts chasing that Jesse Chavez slider out of the zone. 2 outs now. There we are. There's my paperwork. I think I know all that stuff off the top of my head. No chance. There's Eric Nadel. He's in the Hall of Fame. This guy is not. So 2 outs now here for Jesse Chavez against Mitch Moreland. First pitch fastball misses off the plate at 92 miles an hour. We talked about Moreland getting named to the All-Star game the first time in his career. He is 0 for 3 so far tonight with a couple of ground outs and a line out to center. High fly ball hit to left field. Joey Gallo is there, though, as this one is shallow. And the inning is over, but not before the Boston Red Sox add 3 more thanks to J.D. Martinez's 28th home run of the season. The 9th inning, and it is going to take a rally here for the Rangers as they trail 5-0. But this is a nice story here for the Boston Red Sox. Ryan Brazier just had his contract purchased on Sunday from AAA Pawtucket. He has pitched in the big leagues before. It was all the way back in 2013. He threw pretty well, 9 innings. He allowed just 2 runs. He missed all the 2014 season. He was with the A's in the minor leagues in 2015, 2016. Pitched for the Hiroshima Carp last year in Japan, and now back in the big leagues here with the Boston Red Sox. 5 years after the last time he was in the big leagues. That's a lot of years in big league time.
Wow. First pitch he threw was 98 miles an hour. Next pitch was a 90-mile-an-hour slider. 0-2.
Kind of Falefa drills one to right field, but J.D. Martinez is back in time, and so there is 1 out here in the 9th.
It's time for our Coors Light refreshing finish. Let's go to yesterday's ball game and check out Shin-Soo Choo. 0 for 4, gets 1 more at bat in the 9th inning, cues one down the third baseline. Can't go all out because of a quad muscle injury, but he's able to go 3/4 speed, and that was fast enough to get his hit to extend his on-base streak to 47 games, and after the game learned he was going to be on the All-Star team, so he called it one of the best days of his life.
I mean, it had to be, right? It's incredible to think that that would all happen in the same day, and could not happen to a nicer guy. And he's been just great for the Rangers this year, especially with so many more young players in the lineup, and what he has done and what he has tried to share with his teammates. And the approach that he takes is certainly an example worth following, especially in today's game.
And we're talking about how the Red Sox players responded to the news that Mitch Moreland made the All-Star team. Well, the Rangers only had 1 All-Star, but they responded the same way because it was Shin-Soo Choo. All of them so happy for him.
That's the first ball that Ryan Brazier has thrown in his return to the big league. 6 pitches, 5 of those have been strikes. Slider foul. and missed by the back girl. Ball girl, excuse me. Robinson Chirinos hit his first triple of the season back in the 7th inning. His last at bat, it was the 3rd of his career. And he's down on the count 1-2, and he lays off a 97-mile-an-hour fastball above the zone. Tom, you also have a triple in this ballpark?
I had a triple in this ballpark. I remember it. I hit it exactly like Robinson Chirinos. When he hit it, I thought of it. Off Rick Wise, a fly ball to the corner out there, probably bounced off the 420 sign. Whoa, there's why Mitch Moreland's a Gold Glover. So many players have a hard time going back on a pop-up when it's directly over their head like that, but Mitch shows you how you do it right there. See where he starts, the jump that he gets. He's not the fastest infielder, but what the speed that he has and the quickness that he has resulted in and out. That's kind of what it's all about. Anyway, it was the same kind of ball. Instead of bouncing, or maybe it was one Mookie Betts hit. Instead of the one that bounced into the stands, yeah, Mookie Betts hit it. It bounced off the side of the wall and kind of caromed around out there. So I do remember that.
So going back to that play real quick with Mitch Moreland, we have a great viewer high up here. The thing that really caught my attention, zero hesitation. How many times do we see a first baseman trying to find himself a little bit and trying to get the timing of the ball down? He didn't hesitate at all. He had a great line on that ball.
He did. He turned and he went for it.
The Rangers are down to their last out here as they trail 5-0 to the Boston Red Sox, who homered in the first, themselves up 2-0, and then again in the 8th. Steve Pierce in the first, JD Martinez in the 8th. And Joey Gallo fouls back 96 miles an hour, and the Texas Rangers are down to their last strike. An announced crowd of 36,754, 12th sellout of the season. And this one is foul back, and we'll do it again. Rangers 1-2 to Joey Gallo, and this one is lined, but right at Xander Bogaerts, who is playing in the second baseman's position because of the shift. And this game is over. Ryan Brazier, welcome back to the big leagues. 2 hours and 52 minutes for this one as the Rangers lose this one by a score of 5.